Let me just grab that for a second.
And we're
Trump won
live.
all states. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
We we love you. I don't even know how to
Oh, we
do
got
this part.
Siobhan, Ben, Ichabod, Mary, Barb, Danny. Hey, guys.
And we're
Trump
live.
won all states.
Sinead, Aaron, Sarah, Paisley, Jubs. Wow,
Woo!
you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Short notice.
Yeah, a little bit short
Not too
notice.
bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, it should be a fun one tonight, though. We'll have a little bit of a small movie night. It's kind of a movie where we get to watch this lovely speech.
Ichabod said something in there
Yeah?
about Trump winning. Oh, yeah.
He said all states except for New York, which could be very possible. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Be interesting to
Yeah,
see.
I think I'd be surprised if he lost New York. The only one I thought was a possibility was New Jersey. But I predicted on the night of the show, and if everybody remembers, I called 50-0, and I think if everything comes out, it'll be 50-0. And also, if everyone remembers on that great live show that we did, that was so much fun. That was a great show, and on that show that we did throughout the night with so many great guests and so much great information and a great tribute to the Q team and Trump. And then as the night was progressing and people were starting to worry, the whole night I was just telling you there's two ways this can play out. The tribute to Trump and all of us, and it's a landslide, or this is how they're going to do the takedown through election fraud. And I said either way, either way he won, and that was great because Linwood and General Flynn just yesterday, both of them on separate platforms, both said publicly Trump is still your president. And they're both big time mainstream figures. Both of them are big time mainstream. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but they
Linwood,
just want to be on Rachel now.
yeah, and Linwood especially. I mean, he still hasn't had any lawsuits filed against him for all of the stuff that he said against all these different people and organizations. It's like, you really think that that would fly? You really think that they would just let that slide?
Yeah. Well, it's easy to slander and libel people that are
Right.
dead.
Yeah, especially when it's all true.
I saw one of the people today on what's that platform that everybody uses?
Telegram.
Telegram. Justin uses it. Great shows, by the way, Justin. Love you, buddy, and love your Telegram chat. They're so good.
Yeah, they're a lot
Love
of
our
fun.
whole family. But I was somebody on Telegram posted, and it was that wonderful little clip about 4 minutes, and it was Michael Jackson getting a chance to meet Diana in person, and he had a check for $450,000 to the Prince's Trust. And my God, that whoever had this camera, so you're thinking a Q team member, because it just was on Michael the entire time, and it just it's just a treat to watch Michael truly sparkle and truly be tickled in the presence of Diana, and he was so thoughtful and gracious, and you could see that she was tingling. She was absolutely tingling with excitement to be with him as well. It was a magical 4 minutes to watch. So, and it's great because on Michael's shoulder patch on his black jacket, he had a silver V, and then above the silver V was an image that looked like the Ark of the Covenant, and then on the top of it had the two wings spread out. So if you know your symbology, that is that is father, mother, child, and that is the child risen into heaven with Father through the mother, which is the V for vagina. And so it's an incredible symbol, and there's no coincidence that he's wearing that on his custom-made jacket. So love you, Michael.
You do.
Truly.
Love you, Jim Morrison, Rush Limbaugh.
Lady Diana, Kennedy, all of them.
Too many to name, really.
Yeah. Kazri, see Kazri in the house. Kazri, we love you so much. Barb, I love Barb Raw. That's so cool. Barb, we love you so much. Say hi to Brent. We love Brent so much
Hello,
too.
Yvonne.
Kelly, Leslie, Stacy. We could do this all night. This is a show. And then what we would do is they would just talk in the chat and we would just comment on what they're chatting about.
That would be fun. Let's do that.
That would be a great
Let's
show.
do that.
Because it's
That'd be
just,
maybe a Friday Q&A or something. We just do
Yeah.
that.
yeah. Team Honey's
just have a
here.
conversation.
Jeannie Kilroy, really, you guys are great. Eden,
Eden.
oh, wonderful to have.
Danny,
Eden, Dan.
Elvis, and of course Elvis. Ah,
Shadow of the Baseman. We love you. Love you, love you, love you.
Rika. There's some great names here too.
I know.
Tiger Lily.
Tiffany's.
Cleo
Rockstar Tiffany. Rockstar.
Janindi.
Got some new names
Radiant.
too.
Chris Amici.
Wonderful. And welcome to the family.
Daisy.
Yeah. Glad to have you all here.
Absolutely.
I know. We really
Wanda,
mean it too. We really mean it.
JJ.
And remember what we're working towards. We're just kind of waiting for a platform to arrive. So if Mike Lindell can deliver on Frank, and that this is a high quality platform along the lines of YouTube, except no Satanism, thank you, just all God, that would be great. So if he can deliver with that, then I think very soon we will be ready to launch Freak Sense TV, the network. And then that's all of us all in working together to create 12 hours 12 hours a day of content, and then we just loop it. So we're running it 12 hours live, and then we replay the 12 hours every day. So we do it like 5 days a week or whatever. And then that's it. You don't need to go
24-hour Charlie.
oh, that would be horrendous. But you don't need to go anywhere else. It would be all there for you. And then the idea would be is that everybody would just be under this umbrella. And then I think really quickly we probably have 10, 20 million subscribers kind of thing on Frank. And that would be it. And then
With Justin Carpenter.
we just all share the revenues, and we're just building homes for everyone to get down here, expanding the well, all of those kinds of things, to get everybody safely on their way to paradise.
Yep.
Yeah, so very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. And another exciting thing for anyone who is looking for some more movies, I just had another major upload onto my link tree the other day. So we've got linked in there, I've got Hot Fuzz, They
Nice.
Live, the Lord of the Rings trilogy,
Ah!
and then Idiocracy. That was a request of Patrick Kramer.
We don't know that one.
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
it's a comedy. Is that not a good one, Charlie? It sounds like it.
I can't place it, but I know the name sounds very
Idiocracy.
Yeah,
familiar.
it's a very truthful way of representing where we were headed to by just our. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's very very representative of where we were headed to as a society if we continued the way we were going of just being dumb. And then I also put on there the Adolf Hitler, the greatest story never told. That documentary as well.
Great.
So-
Oh yeah, and remember, folks, Europa and Dennis Wise and The Greatest Story Never Told. I mean, that with what I've done, and then, like I said, once we get a proper platform, I'll complete the 3-part series. I'll redo the first one, and I'll do a 3-part series, and maybe I'll do it with Justin. That'd be a very fun project to do. Of course, I don't want to get Justin into any
It's
trouble, but
free speech.
but
We can do it.
I don't mind.
so that would be so much fun. And then there's a book. There's a book. When that comes, I don't know, but there is a book that will come out. That puts it all together really beautifully, because it's just such a huge story. And thank you, Justin, for doing all of that. And also, I want everyone to know that there's a series of movies that were done between the director Antoine Fuqua, which sounds very much like "fuck you." Antoine Fuqua, the director, and Denzel Washington, and they did a remake of the TV series called The Equalizer, and they did two parts out of it, Equalizer and Equalizer 2, and then they also did together The Magnificent Seven, a remake of The Magnificent Seven, which is just entirely godly. It's incredible. So what they did is that all 3 of those movies are absolutely aided and abetted by the Q team. There's no doubt about it. The numerology within them is constantly showing 17 and whatnot. And there's such a powerful message, and that is, when you know better, you have to do better, and we have to stand up and do the right thing. And the character that Denzel plays is constantly giving, even at the end of it, the big bad guy, giving all of them a chance to just change their lives around and do what's right, and you'll see what happens. But so those are great, and whenever Justin has a chance, I'm sure he'll get those on. So that's Equalizer, Equalizer 2, and Magnificent Seven, and that's all a team between Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington. And also Inside Man, which Spike Lee did. I really don't. Spike Lee strikes me as very potentially being Cabal, but that movie gives so much truth. And of course, it's about an inside man. And notice that the logo for the show, which is the word inside man, inside is white, man is red, and that the 2 words are going up and to the right. There's great duality of a physical story, but then of a higher mind story in that. That's a brilliant movie too. So that's another really good one.
Yeah, and then people are mentioning in the chat, but the documentary, Eric Dubé's documentary Level just came out recently, and that was fantastic. I gave that one a watch. It was really, really good. It's a
Would we
good,
put that on the?
No,
yeah, I mean,
it,
it's on YouTube. I mean, you can find it easily. I can link to it on my link tree to the YouTube. But that was a great one. It's a good, if you've looked into flat Earth, it's not going to be anything new, but it's a great summary of information, and it's put in a very palatable way to where you could show that to anyone, and anyone who watches that is, you're going to at least question the spinning ball. There's no way that you're not going to after watching it.
Absolutely, it's complete crap, and that's anyone. All the people that didn't, and remember, the level Earth movement is massive in comparison to what you think it is, because they've suppressed it so massively. But it is. Anyone who doesn't know is simply because they never took the time to seriously take a look at it. Because if you seriously take a look at it, it's overwhelming, of course. And then, I mean, just the proofs are just overwhelming. So, and that's a Hibbler production. And I'm not really sure who's behind them and their financing, but they do really, really high quality videos. They have all the way through. I think they asked Eric to narrate it, and they've got Santos in there as well, which is really, really important. That if you want to have, because some of the people they have in there are they know some stuff, but you know, like you say, they pieced it together very nicely, so that it's very factual, logical, straightforward. People can get it, and then Santos really adds, you know, so much to it. And good job. Earth is level for sure, because everything is the hermetic principle within. So without a universe, always look at your head.
It's all the same, micro to macro,
If
and it's simple.
Are we continue?
our condolences, condolences to Penny. I'm not sure if Penny wants anything said, but we love you so dearly, and all of our love and hugs and kisses and help in any form is with you always, and you're so special, and
Yeah,
we're with
we
you.
love you.
Yeah.
We love you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, Ichabod just said level 2021 is excellent, and Ichabod would know whether it is or isn't. So thank you, my friend.
Are we fuzzing out? Tiffany says.
You were for just a second, but you're back strong.
What is that?
Just
Okay.
like turned into a robot. Yeah. I was joking with Aaron the other day, like what we're gonna do when we get down there for shows and things, and I think we're all just gonna have to gather around your one camera and computer. Just be speaking to each other. Yeah. Because there's no way multiple devices are gonna work on that network of yours. So we'll just all have
Right.
to be
We
clustered
have
together doing shows.
we have a new pole, no more than 200 meters from the house, and up top the cable says fiber optic. So the difference will be night and day, because our landline wires are about 30-40 years old.
Right.
It's brutal. So
Ichabod said he was on Telegram and his voice did what Charlie's did, and he has fiber internet. Well,
so we're excited for that, and I'm gonna make a point of contacting Slim Shady. What's his company called here in Mexico?
Slim Carlos, Telmex.
Telmex. Carlos Slim, Telmex.
I'm gonna say he's probably not around either.
Yeah, and we'll find out and see what we need to do to hook it up. So
Yeah, we'll just run a wire ourselves. I'll climb up there and hook it in if we have to.
like it.
We have an
Like it.
amazing electrician plumber who can do that for us.
Yeah,
Nice.
Lalo, if you're out there, buddy, my gosh, we love you. We love all of our family. They're great guys for sure.
But I still like the idea of all of us clustering around just the one camera. It shows that way. So
It'll happen.
Freak sense, you know, and it's so funny because as a kid growing up, I was so
Your head can pop
different.
up here.
I was so different
we'll
from
rotate.
everybody else, and in my own world. And one of the things that I love so much, especially being a Canadian kid, was SCTV. It was the greatest. And the whole concept of SCTV was that it was like a television station.
A low budget
Low, because
television.
they just had no money. So Guy
Freak
Caballero,
sense.
the station manager, Guy was always, you know, looking for money any way he could and ready to put out any schlock that he could. But it's hilarious to think that growing up and just loving SCTV, when they told so much truth. Saturday Night Live, Devil, and you know, Rick Moranis and John Candy and Dave Thomas, and yeah, those were the good ones. And they had to go to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is cold, to do these shows, and they had nothing to do really other than focus on their work, which was amazing. So we're all together. We're making like SCTV. That is, I can't. It's like my life is a dream. it's a dream to be able to do this, and we're like we're making our version, a little less comedy, but our version of SCTV. It's
We never
incredible.
know what the future will hold. Maybe it'll be all comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to laugh at some point.
Well,
Yeah.
and think about it. I mean, as people are becoming awakened and our job changes a little bit, we can just be funny guys, funny people, spreading joy 24/7 on Freak Sense TV.
Yeah. Well, and the truth is pretty funny. It just depends on how you look at it.
Oh,
Depends on how you
yeah.
look at it.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy.
It's all of it, really.
We want John Candy to
Yeah.
be John Galted too,
I think,
Stacy.
other than his
Love that
health,
guy.
other than his health, I think there's a really good chance.
Hi, Heidi.
Yeah, because the movie he was doing at the time was a very Kabbalistic production and atypical for John Candy, and there's a really good chance that they yanked him out. And John, if you are still alive, please, you have to take your health very seriously, my friend. Okay, you're so brilliant, and you need to take your health very seriously. We're frugivores. Check it out. I've done a couple of videos on it.
Should we get started?
Let's go, Trump.
I mean, just
You gotta. I mean, this video is legend. This video, and so what I want before we start it, what I want Justin and Colleen to speak to as well, is the fact of how important this video is. What you're looking at, see, because the date. This is the Alfred E. Smith Memorial Dinner. And every year they raise money so these sickwads can use it to go and buy islands in the in the Caribbean, and then bring children down there and pay Hillary to take entire villages in Haiti and bring them down there for them. So it's really sickening. Don't think yourself for a second that Trump is sincere in anything that he's saying, because once again, think of the date. Think of when you're watching this. This is a day after. This is one day after the big debate between Trump and Clinton. That's where she was cheating with Donna Brazile giving her the questions in advance. And Trump still smoked her big time in the debate. And so that's a day after. This is 13 days before the November 5th election, 2016. So this is 2016. So it's only 13 days before the biggest, most important election ever. And then this is only 2 months before the takedown of the cabal in Venice, the takedown of these vampires. So you're watching them for the last time, a big group of them. And Henry Kissinger is there. You got to watch carefully and see who's there. And this cardinal who's there, and look at, oh my God, he's just on such great terms with Hillary Clinton, right? Such a devil. Oh, they're all devils. And the thing so what I want you to listen for sure. What he says is funny. What he says is loaded with comms and truth, stinger miss. But I want you to watch them, and even just like Melania Trump, every time, look at the looks that Melania is giving, because she knows, and she's not an actor like Donald Trump and how well accustomed he is to playing these roles. She's not. So she knows that the two of them are surrounded by sharks. And just look at the look on her face every time they show Melania, and she's on edge because she knows they're surrounded by scum. They're surrounded by vampires, Satanists of the worst order. And so Melania's eyes give a ton away. And then, Hillary gives it all away, that Pope. But the two guys in particular, the guys on either side of Trump, my Lord, And the one guy who's just, and they're all so anemic. They're all, I just don't know why. Maybe I should do a video. No, we all know why they're anemic. And he's got his little iron cross, the Cabal version, wearing his Illuminati medal around his neck there. It's just observe this. Henry Kissinger's there. He's behind Trump and to our right. And if it is Kissinger, because he never even moves, I don't even think his eyes close the entire time. So if it is Kissinger, it could just be a dummy or something like that too. But it looks sort of like a non-moving Henry Kissinger is there. So scum of the earth is there. It's very important. Consider the dates and the time. Observe everyone and learn, and watch how terrified they are of Trump. And at the thing that's so funny is Trump is winding up his comments. They've been put through hell. Look at them. I'm not kidding. Especially those two guys. Watch them, and they're like, now they're like, thank God this is over, and now I just have to do some breathing or something.
Well, and they have to keep their composure, right? They're all being filmed, so that would be really hard because they hate Trump.
Yeah.
They hate him, and they think he's a joke, I suppose, but they also know he's not one of them, so a little bit frightened.
Yeah, and they're like, how did this guy get so far? How is this still happening? How is this nightmare still happening? Because they were so confident he wasn't even going to make it as the nominee. They were so confident they were going to stop him before then. They were probably confident they were going to kill him before he got to that point. Like he was going to have some unfortunate accident, and he's still there. And not only is he there, but he's boldly calling them out and saying like, "Hey, come get me!" Like. You can't do anything. You're powerless, but they didn't know how powerless they were, and they didn't. I mean, at that point, it was still all up in the air. So it was, yeah, very bold, very bold. Wow.
Yeah, enjoy this gift, and Justin's going to play it. It'll go faster because Justin's going to play it a little faster than normal, and then we'll come back into this and we'll talk about it. You can ask questions if you got questions, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So enjoy.
Yeah.
It is now my privilege to introduce the first of this evening's speakers. We determined tonight's order backstage. I'm happy to report, no matter how the coin toss ended, our next speaker was going to say it was rigged. I'm speaking, of course, about the Republican nominee, Donald J. Trump. There are actually some rumors going around that he wasn't going to show up tonight. He could say he wanted to keep us in suspense. We considered having a Donald Trump cutout on the dais, but if we wanted someone still lifeless, we could ask Charlie Rose to speak again. It is historic that Donald is here tonight. That's right, for the first time, the Catholic Church is not the largest tax-exempt landowner here tonight. We are honored to have Donald and Melania here tonight. The Alphabet Dinner is a New York institution. The Donald, a kid from Queens, with a big heart and a big mouth, was without question a New York institution. Donald, the microphone is yours, and it's working.
Thank you, Al. Wow, that was good. This is a hell of a dinner. Well, I want to thank Your Eminence. This is really great to be with you again. We love it. Governor Cuomo, our great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know. Mayor de Blasio, wherever you are. Where's Mayor de Blasio? Huh? Hello, Mayor. Come on. See, in the old days, I would have known him very well, but I haven't been doing so much of the real estate anymore. And I want to thank Al and Nan Smith. Just a fantastic job you do with the dinner, and congratulations on a record. Over $6 million, right? This is their record. And a special hello to all of you in this room who have known and loved me for many, many years. It's true. The politicians. They've had me to their homes. They've introduced me to their children. I've become their best friends in many instances. They've asked for my endorsement, and they always wanted my money, and even called me really a dear, dear friend. But then, suddenly, decided when I ran for president as a Republican that I've always been a no-good, rotten, disgusting scoundrel, and they totally forgot about me. But that's okay. You know, they say when you do this kind of an event, you always start out with a self-deprecating joke. Some people think this would be tough for me, but the truth is, the truth is I'm actually a modest person, very modest. It's true. In fact, many people tell me that modesty is perhaps my best quality. Even better than my temperament. You know, Cardinal Dolan and I have some things in common. For instance, we both run impressive properties on Fifth Avenue. Of course, his is much more impressive than mine. That's because I built mine with my own beautifully formed hands. While his was built with the hands of God, and nobody can compete with God. Is that correct? Nobody, right? That's right. No contest. It's great to be here with 1,000 wonderful people, or as I call it, a small, intimate dinner with some friends. Or as Hillary calls it, her largest crowd of the season. This stuff. This is corny stuff. I do recognize that I come into this event with a little bit of an advantage. I know that so many of you in the Archdiocese already have a place in your heart for a guy who started out as a carpenter working for his father. I was a carpenter working for my father. True. Not for a long period of time, but I was for about 3 weeks. What's great about the Al Smith dinner is that even in the rough and tumble world of a really, really hard-fought campaign. In fact, I don't know if you know Hillary, but last night they said that was the most vicious debate in the history of politics, presidential debate, the most vicious. And I don't know, are we supposed to be proud of that, or are we supposed to be unhappy? But they did say that, and I'm trying to think back to Lincoln. I don't think they can really compete with that. But the candidates have some lighthearted moments together, which is true. I have no doubt that Hillary is going to laugh quite a bit tonight, sometimes even at an appropriate moment. And even tonight, with all of the heated back and forth between my opponent and me at the debate last night, we have proven that we can actually be civil to each other. In fact, just before taking the dais, Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very civilly said, "Pardon me." And I very politely replied, "Let me talk to you about that after I get into office." Just kidding, just kidding. And Hillary was very gracious. She said if somehow she gets elected, she wants me to be, without question, either her ambassador to Iraq or to Afghanistan. It's my choice. But one of the things I noticed tonight, and I've known Hillary for a long time, is this is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it. It's true. It's true. It's true. You know, last night, I called Hillary a nasty woman. But this stuff is all relative. After listening to Hillary rattle on and on and on, I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore. In fact, I'm actually starting to like Rosie a lot. These events give not only the candidates a chance to be with each other in a very social setting, it also allows the candidates the opportunity to meet the other candidates' team. Good team. I know Hillary met my campaign manager, and I got the chance to meet the people who are working so hard to get her elected. There they are, the heads of NBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. There's the New York Times right over there, and the Washington Post. They're working overtime. True. True. Oh, this one's going to get me in trouble. Not with Hillary. You know, the president told me to stop whining. But I really have to say, the media is even more biased this year than ever before. Ever. You want the proof? Michelle Obama gives a speech, and everyone loves it. It's fantastic. They think she's absolutely great. My wife, Melania, gives the exact same speech. And people get on her case. And I don't get it. I don't know why. And it wasn't her fault. Stand up, Melania. Come on. She took a lot of abuse. Oh, I'm in trouble when I go home tonight. She didn't know about that one. Am I okay? I said, okay. Cardinal, please speak to her. I'd like to address an important religious matter, the issue of going to confession, or as Hillary calls it, the 4th of July weekend with FBI Director Comey. Now, I'm told Hillary went to confession before tonight's event. But the priest was having a hard time when he asked her about her sins, and she said she couldn't remember 39 times. Nah. Hillary is so corrupt. She got kicked off the Watergate Commission. How corrupt do you have to be to get kicked off the Watergate Commission? Pretty corrupt. Hillary is and has been in politics since the 70s. What's her pitch? The economy is busted. The government's corrupt. Washington is failing. Vote for me. I've been working on these problems for 30 years. I can fix it, she says. I wasn't really sure if Hillary was going to be here tonight because I guess you didn't send her invitation by email. Or maybe you did, and she just found out about it through the wonder of WikiLeaks. We've learned so much from WikiLeaks. For example, Hillary believes that it's vital to deceive the people by having one public policy and a totally different policy in private. That's okay. I don't know who they're angry at, Hillary. You're right. For example, here she is tonight in public, pretending not to hate Catholics. Now, if some of you haven't noticed, Hillary isn't laughing as much as the rest of us. That's because she knows the jokes. And all of the jokes were given to her in advance of the dinner by Donna Brazil, which is, everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you. I don't know, and I don't want this evening without saying something nice about my opponent. Hillary has been in Washington a long time. She knows a lot about how government works. And according to her sworn testimony, Hillary has forgotten more things than most of us will ever know. That I can tell you. We're having some fun here tonight, and that's good. On a personal note, what an amazing honor it is to be with all of you. And I want to congratulate Hillary on getting the nomination, and we're in there fighting. And over the next 19 days, somebody's going to be chosen. We'll see what happens. But I have great memories of coming to this dinner with my father over the years when I was a young man. Great experience for me. This was always a special experience for him and me to be together. One thing we can all agree on is the need to support the great work that comes out of the dinner. Millions of dollars have been raised to support disadvantaged children, and I applaud the many people who have worked to make this wonderful event a critical lifeline for children in need. And that we together broke the all-time record tonight is really something special. More than 6 million net. The Cardinal told me that's net, Donald, remember. We can also agree on the need to stand up to anti-Catholic bias, to defend religious liberty, and to create a culture that celebrates life. America is in many ways divided. Thank you. America is in many ways divided like it's never been before. And the great religious leaders here tonight give us all an example that we can follow. We're living in a time and age that we never thought possible before. The vicious barbarism we'd read about in history books, but never thought we'd see it in our so-called modern-day world. Who would have thought we would be witnessing what we're witnessing today? We've got to be very strong, very smart, and we've got to come together, not only as a nation, but as a world community. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sweating up a storm, it looked like.
Yeah. It's like
The
that
storm.
scene from Airplane where he's just pouring down his face. Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
The thing with Hillary is that there's nothing that could have prepared her for the village in Haiti, where she's taken many of them, and she gave him her death stare, and there's nothing anyone could do to tone that one down. So to see is that the Clinton Foundation family runs under Clinton Foundation,
Under the Pelosi crime family.
and that just nasty piece of works. And we've been trying to share this for 3 years. Is that what you see as organized society, and in particular the institutions that kind of run it, so organized religion being the heart and the soul of it, and politics being the minions of this network, is organized crime. And that's all it is. It's never been anything else. But you give them a shave, put a nice suit on them and some cologne so they don't stink as bad, and they pass for important people, and that's what the average person has just fallen for, is title and cut of clothes, and that's enough to intimidate the average person. And it's a shame, because they're nothing but they're just bloodthirsty, ruthless, completely without the mother, ruthless monsters, and it's organized crime. So the church is organized crime, and politics is nothing more than minions allowing organized crime to run amok.
Puts a little more into perspective when they use the YMCA song about the village people who sing it, the village.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and again, the letters are huge, right? YMCA. So you have the child to become Jesus Christ, and you have the magnetic mother and the father. So it's everything. YMCA.
Yeah. Beautiful. Powerful.
One wasn't,
Once we can take
yeah, weren't the YMCA's kind of like a front for the CIA as well? And so wasn't that kind of a nod to them that like, hey, we know what you're up to?
There were a whole bunch of those disco bands that came out that was just nothing more than Tavistock, then pushed out from Tavistock to MI5, MI6, Mossad, and CIA, and to just give the world the mindless-ism that was necessary to take people completely out of the 60s selfless, back to nature vibe, and to prepare them for what was coming in the 80s. And remember, they tried to kill Reagan in his first year in office, which would have put Poppy Bush, and nobody knows how Poppy Bush became Reagan's vice president, because Reagan didn't know who the guy was and couldn't stand him. And Poppy Bush, Timber, his attempts to have any kind of actual seat, he kept losing. So all he had was this bizarre situation where under the Nixon administration, he was asked to become, which Nixon didn't have a say in, he was asked to become the director of the CIA. And so it's like, why? So the world is asking, and most Americans, why are we asking a Houston oil billionaire to become the director of the CIA? And then there were a lot of allegations that he spent his whole life with the CIA and was attached to the Bay of Pigs and had ties to Dallas, which we know he did. And he was the guy arrested, that oil billionaire running out of the Daltex building. It was arrested temporarily moments after the shooting. That's Poppy Bush.
And I think all of this will be in a movie at some point, so we'll be able to see the truth of all of it depicted in a movie. So it'll all be clear.
So what I want to show everybody there is just the lengths that they were going to, because if you come back to Watergate, if you go back before Reagan, which was 80, Reagan and Poppy Bush, if you go back to the debacle that was Nixon's second term, and remember, that's not Nixon, that's Nixon trying to figure out what the heck was going on, because Nixon found out, just like the Kennedys found out, he wasn't running his government. And you can say all you want about Nixon, but Nixon was the kind of person that wanted to be in charge. If I'm elected and I'm in charge, then I should be the one who's in charge. And he was finding out that he wasn't in charge. He found out that Kissinger was not his friend, and that Kissinger, anything that was being said to Kissinger was being said to these other people, and he was trying to find out who these other people were. And that's, by the way, what the whole incident of Watergate building and breaking into the Democratic headquarters is he was looking for their bribery lists. He wanted to get what they had on whom and for how much. So the plumbers union that Nixon created was a group of special ops characters, people with ties to do dirty jobs for the CIA and other agencies. And Nixon, his group put them together, and that's what they were trying to do. They're trying to find out everything they could about the cabal, who the hell these people were, and why did they have so much power. And then they had leverage. So what they found out is they had everybody leveraged. So Nixon was trying to get the leverage so that Nixon could then have that same leverage over these people and try to take back control over the United States government, which was going on. And then when Nixon, now remember, They have this all planned out. So Nixon won re-election in 72 with Spiro Agnew as his vice president, and then soon after there's this, and Spiro Agnew was so corrupt, it's unbelievable. They could have used any event, but then this really shoddy business deal comes up, and Spiro Agnew has to step down, and Gerald Ford becomes without being elected, becomes the vice president. And then when Nixon's forced to resign or be impeached, then Gerald Ford, out of nowhere, with no credibility because he's not elected by anyone, who just happened to be the chairperson of the Warren Commission, Jerry Ford, or sub-director, and or sub-chair, and so he becomes president. And then who does Gerald Ford? So with no voter approval, Jerry Ford is president. And who does he appoint as as vice president? Nelson Rockefeller, right? So now we're getting into Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Hanks, and Nelson Rockefeller. And then no sooner does Nelson Rockefeller get sworn in as vice president, then everybody starts shooting at Gerald Ford, and there's like multiple assassination attempts on Jerry Ford, but he kept tripping, everywhere, so nobody could shoot him. And then who are the shooters that are coming out of nowhere to try to kill Jerry Ford? Well, it just happens to be the Manson family. The Manson family sister. It's pathetic. It's such a small club at this mafia, and how they're asked to play all these roles, and they're all back in the Bay of Pigs thing, and they're all Dallas, and they're all Charlie Man. They're all tied into all these things because it's a small group. We're not in it.
Thank
We
God.
are not in that club. And this, by the way, same club they used to hit us over the head every day. Tell us what to think, what to watch, what to buy, what to do. Thank you, George Carlin. Hoping you're alive too, my
God,
friend.
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Bill Hicks. Bill, I mean, if you are alive, man, wow. We love you, Bill. Love you, Bill. Thank you, George. Thank you, Lenny Bruce. So that was a lot, and let's give these two wonderful souls a chance to jump in.
yeah. I mean that whole video that we watched. I mean, it's just a very clear reminder of how when you take a look at something with a fresh perspective of actually looking at what's going on and seeing how because I remember seeing that, and I didn't have any issue with Trump, but I also just thought he was just kind of like this arrogant dude that had a lot of money and was working his way into politics and didn't really think much of it. And so I didn't pay much attention to that, other than it was kind of hilarious that Hillary was getting roasted, and but now seeing it from this perspective and knowing what they were planning and how much was at stake, and how he was still able to go about not only that speech, but everything in that campaign, everything in the debates, like with just such tenacity and such such boldness. Like, wow, this
Special.
guy's a warrior.
Not just anybody could have done what he did,
Nope.
and
No
pulled it off
way.
with the courage. Wow, his whole life has set him up to do exactly what he's done. Amazing.
Really, really quickly, we'll just jump back to Justin, but really quickly, remember, and he was in the giving that speech. Any one of those people would have pulled out a handgun and to shoot if they had any inkling that he was going to attempt to take them down. Because we're talking about a complete reversal and a complete knowing of them and their plan forever. Can't get around this now, because we now know, and we'll never forget that that we allowed this to happen, and this is how deep this is who they are. This is literally how they think. This is literally what they eat, and we'll never forget this ever again. So any one of them would have been prepared because I mean, everyone you were looking at that video, they're not around. They're not around. They're not around.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to know how many, like what percentage of that was their last public appearance, or or close to it, as far as like a big televised event. I wouldn't be surprised if most of them, it was just one after the other after they cut the head off the Hydra in a couple months' time. Then it was just slowly working down the ranks and getting more and more layers of this onion, this nasty, rotten cabal onion that was just surrounding all of us. But they started with the core, started with the the head group, and then just kept working their way down. But yeah, it's wild to think about, and I can't wait for those movies to come out and to see it all. It's gonna take so long to tell, but every bit of it is gonna be so fascinating. Every bit of it's just gonna be so absorbing. The best thing we've ever watched.
And we've lived through it.
Yeah.
Incredible. 19 days, he said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They had
19.
19 days. Can you imagine those 19 days for those people thinking, no, there's no way he'll get in? I mean, we've rigged it, right? We've completely rigged it. So, but there's always that little nagging doubt because everything rides on this, right?
That's a brilliant point. So there's two aspects to this. So one, I think until that debate the previous night, see, we were paying close attention to this, even though we didn't hold a lot of hope that Trump was anything more than a businessman looking to, and therefore either he was controlled or that they would take him out, because he always was. So the thing about Trump that gave you hope is that he's such a strong, independent person. He did things differently. He's not a cut and dried business person. He did it differently. He did it his way. And it gave you hope that there was a chance for hope, but then they would just take him out like they did everybody else. And so we were watching this very carefully as the election was playing itself out in the debates. And that debate the night before, which we watched, changed everything, because he tore a strip off of her and exposed Hillary to a massive audience for being completely corrupt and completely fake and wanting to have things two ways. So, and he touched upon that in his speech, that what we just watched as well, which is that she has two agendas. One publicly, where she says she cares about the people, or cares about Catholics, and he with Catholics he means Christianity, Christians, because she's a Satanist. That's what's being said there. And but all of that was that the mask that was really protecting Hillary, because she could be this or that, but at least she was in Washington trying, and he just tore that mask right off. She wasn't there trying. She's been there forever. Nothing has changed. That her and her husband are only in it for the money, and then their connections to places like Haiti call into question what they're in it for and how deep it goes and stuff. And then she had the questions from Donna Brazile in advance, and he still destroyed her. On the previous show, we saw that she had a hearing device. He still destroyed her, and that's when we started to know and had optimism on the election night that he had a chance at winning, because of the way that he exposed her to a large audience, and people clearly saw that, and there clearly was election fraud that's just replaying itself out in 2020. But they had a team in place to ensure that the election fraud was being
Can you imagine the
controlled.
amount of people that they had on duty
Right.
to make sure nobody killed Trump, right?
Yeah.
His exposure, he must have been so, encapsulated, like he had to have been, because they knew there would be so many attempts on his life, because they would make sure I can't even imagine after the fact that they had to be so diligent with that. Wow, incredible. Again, in a movie, I'm sure we'll be able to see.
And state by state, Justin, the military and National Guard to protect to protect the count, to protect voting machines, all of these things, county by county, state by state. Wow, just a mammoth operation. So again, don't kid yourselves. And remember, see, it's little things like this, because then that meant that the military was all in. So then the cabal know this. They know this, and they knew that they had trouble when with through Obama. Remember, this first position of the Department of Military Intelligence with the president, that new position, and General Flynn, Michael Flynn, was the first person into this new role, and this would be a liaison of the Joint Chiefs that would be in all of these meetings with the president, and then they could just have a better idea of what's happening on at both ends and whatnot. And as Flynn was sitting on these meetings with Obama, Flynn was just out of his mind because it wasn't Obama that was running the government. It was Hillary Clinton, and it was clear that Hillary Clinton wasn't running it, but a hidden group with an enormous amount of money that was simply just controlling foreign policy and what was going on in the world, and that it was a pay-and-play system. And then Flynn did, without being asked, Flynn did this big check into Hillary and what was going on in Africa, let alone the Middle East. And he came back and he told Obama's chief advisor, he said, she's gone rogue. She's completely rogue. Your guy is no longer even in charge. And what she's doing, she's running a pay-for-play system across the earth, and using our soldiers to die for whatever agenda the top bidder has, to be able to just control the world. And so Michael Flynn was very quickly removed out of that position. And it's at that point that they knew they had a real problem. They knew they always had a problem with the military. That's why the military were the last ones in on everything, including technology. And they knew they had a real problem. And then when Trump is elected, and then one of the first things comes out of Trump that he's talking about this position of advisor and on his staff, General Michael Flynn, they're like, our worst dreams have come true. So like Colleen said, for 19 days, Trump hit them at that meeting. So you see that you collect them all there, and then Justin rightly says, can you believe the balls on this guy, the cojones on Trump, to go in to the den of sin, the den of the vipers, with his wife, and let them have it and tell them what's coming. So
people are asking, was it really Trump?
I think yes. I think yes, because for something that big, I know for myself, I couldn't have been talked out of it. And I think Trump is the same way. I think he demanded, I think he knew that he had to be there, because only he could deliver it the way he delivered it. There was no fear. There was no fear with him at all. He let them have it, and that's what he did. I don't
think I would have eaten the meal though.
That's right. Or drank the water. I don't think he did either. And so for 19 days he made them sweat it out. And then that night, it was clear from the beginning that he had this lead, and they kept saying, there's hope, because the further, other than California, the further west you go, these are people that are sick and tired of Washington bullcrap, and they're just going to keep going for Trump. And you could see it.
So why didn't they contest? Because they know that the fraud would have been shown, right? Why did the cabal not contest?
Yeah, they couldn't. Because they know
they couldn't.
It would have just been a lot. All of it would have been exposed at that point. So it was kind of a catch-22 for them. It was brilliant.
That's right. So then it was the the Antifa group being this time disguised as disgruntled Democrats and whatever else. And they just protested. In the days that followed, they were paying out huge months of George Soros money, and everywhere that and CNN was there to televise it, and America is on verge of collapse because of all of these protests and stuff. And it's like, no, did you not see the night before? America powerfully said they're sick and tired of the Washington swamp, and we want this guy to drain it. And they were scared of hell. So he scared the dickens out of them for 19 days, and then he pulled their evil plan away from them like the rug of the magic carpet, pulled it right underneath them on election night.
They hit the ground running.
And then now from November 5th to December 24th, we're six weeks away till Christmas Eve.
What do you call that? Like an ambush when people aren't prepared for anything like that?
That's right. So they were smarting, and then they took him out. Then they took him out in Venice. Nobody thought, because he wasn't even a sitting president. But you have to act. And so the military put this into operation. The military is what has to bring this back under control, and then he'll come back. So for those of you that are kind of thinking in the next few days we could have Trump back, no. I think in the coming weeks, I think this week we're going to see a lot.
Just don't be too disappointed if it doesn't happen, because we're going to explain why.
Yeah, but we're going to see the first of some big names. They've gone so far with the innuendo that there's no place else for them to go except, and I think Hollywood will be the target, because that is the easiest for people to sort of stomach, because these Hollywood types and whatnot. But I think some big names and what they're tied to are going to start to come out, and then that is going to unravel quickly, because they're all in cahoots with one another. That's why you're seeing even today an explosion of videos of Hollywood celebrities on Oprah and Ellen, all talking about pizza, all talking about these pizza parties. And by the way, this is why it's all tying in to all these transvestites. And I don't know the names of some of them. You know them a little better than me, but that Jennifer Aniston.
And she used to host
a key
the
one.
Ellen DeGeneres show, because they're such good friends. Right, Jennifer Aniston.
And they're crazy about pizza. They're crazy about
Sandra Bullock
pizza. Yeah, and what's the one they were, remember, black hair, and you said, I didn't know the movie that she was in, and you said that
Megan.
Megan Fox, who's a man.
Right.
So another man
who admitted right on the screen that she's a man, and
So there's going to be the transvestite thing, and then they're going to start to reveal this pizza thing, and then everybody got a big taste because of what the Q team were doing to aid us, to help us in breaking down everything that was going on. WikiLeaks was them, and then then doing the work and actually decoding, because a lot of us weren't doing the work and decoding the WikiLeaks and then breaking it down, and then they're the ones behind the scenes that are helping us with Pizzagate, and then they're the ones that provided the FBI private files showing these secret images for pedophilia and secret codes for pedophilia and what everything meant, and they leaked that out. And then there's people that came out of nowhere, like what's Barack Obama's real name again? Barry Soetoro. So then there's this truther that came out of nowhere called Barry Soetoro. We loved him. He was great. And he was around for
he did
about...
that Sandy Hook decode.
Yeah, and he nailed Sandy Hook. He just destroyed it. Sloppy sniper video. I'll never forget how brilliant all of those were. They were. So he comes out of nowhere, and for about a year and a half, and he's doing all of these
on YouTube. He had a great channel.
That's right, and he was doing all these shows about the false flag events, and he destroyed them. And he focused on Sandy Hook because that was the big one. And then he went over each of them. And then he started to talk about the WikiLeaks and explain it. And then he was the one that really broke Pizzagate, and he was explaining it. And then
his voice was really familiar to me. I don't know if anybody remembers Barry Soetoro YouTube channel, but just hearing his voice, and obviously it's been taken down, I would assume. But maybe somebody's captured the videos. But yeah, voice was so familiar to me. It's like, I should know you. So, I mean, you never got to find out who it was.
No, and he even said that that things have intensified so much about the Pizzagate. He said, be careful, everyone, because he said they're going to set up a false flag to stop this Pizzagate thing. And he said, you watch, someone in the next within this week will do something. He said it could be someone who goes into like the pizza shop in Washington D.C. and what's that, comet ping pong or comet pong or whatever it is, Satanism, and then you watch. And he said he could even pull out a gun and shoot at people in there, and then it's conspiracy and you're kooks and anyone who talks about it, and everything is going to get taken down and stuff. And then he became a little bit edgy at that point. And then the last stuff he did was with Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, and then that he was absolutely not American, and that he absolutely was Kenyan, and then that his life was more complicated than that because it goes to Indonesia.
Was one of the ones going out and saying, he was absolutely saying that Obama needed to produce his birth certificate. And so it was Barry Soetoro, and then right after the birth certificate, Barry Soetoro just disappeared and was gone, completely gone. That's Q. That's Q team. That's absolutely Q team. And they helped us to be able to dive into that stuff 1,000 miles an hour, because we were so busy going here and within. And then Barry Soetoro, and that's right, Wolfgang Halbig, he did he exposed the children not being dead. There were so many great people out there that were doing so many great research. Wow, it was fantastic.
Yeah, and then you just see that Newtown, Connecticut is like totally new, and that all these homes, there's nobody living in them, and that's the neighborhoods of all these rich homes. Nobody, gated communities. Nobody was living in them.
So all of these drops were coming out, right? And it's just, they were all just placed out for us conspiracy nuts.
Yeah.
And so it was laying groundwork for all of the exposure that needed to come out. And that's when Eric DeBay was really, really good too, with all of his flat earth
stuff. And then wow. In a matter of like just a couple of months, Colleen and I just transformed ourselves. We went completely from just connecting to God and focusing everything on the chrism oil and raising the Christ consciousness within you and the Holy Trinity, and really piecing everything together, because nobody had it all right. Not even George Washington Carey, even Lovey Santos, my man. Love you so much. We're going to be doing lots of stuff with Santos coming up here. But even just some discrepancies, and I wanted to just somehow, some way, just really figure it out completely, holistically, how it all works and how it all is explained with physiology and stuff. So I was so focused on doing that. But when this stuff was coming out, it was just too important. And then in a couple of months, we just transformed ourselves, and then we just were 1,000 miles an hour doing what people would say, sort of the truth community down the rabbit hole kind of.
Because when you realize that Trump is actually on our side and we have a chance. Mm-hmm. Because before that, it's like, there is no way in hell that we could ever beat this cabal. Yeah. And it was depressing. Yeah. And so all the stuff you're learning, you're just like, what good is it going to do? There's nothing we can do about it. Yeah. Nothing.
exactly.
But when you realize Trump's on our side, and I kept asking Charlie, there has to be a group. There has to be a group. If there's something that evil, there has to be something really good. Where are they? And they were there. They were there. We just didn't know.
Yeah.
And when we did, we were just like, I have goosebumps just thinking about how, wow, it was incredible, an incredible feeling. And from that moment on, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
we've got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got this.
Yeah.
When it just
They're
ties
going.
it ties in so well with that teachings of the physiology and the truth within and how it's playing out and what's going on. It's micro to macro, and it's just it's brilliant. Like God is so good. God is so good. And it just works so well.
Thank you for saying that, Justin, because, and then that's what gave us such a leg up on everybody else in terms of being the first ones to say that Trump has to be goodly and godly and that this is God's plan, because we were doing the work with all of the numerology and the symbology and the raising of the chrism oil and Christ consciousness. And so when we saw this stuff play out, when then we got into the Q post, Colleen right away, just every single day, and then there's more, and we had to go all the way back to the beginning and stuff, and then all the stuff about
so
JFK.
good.
JFK
If you guys
in the
haven't
beginning,
checked them
and
out,
oh
you need
my
to
God.
check the Q posts. It's like, wow.
Yeah, we were just like living off of the Q post for a while. They're so good, and that's what I said to Mark Devlin and everybody else that was questioning us and going, come on, Charlie, you're doing some great work, but
And we were
this
just
Trump stuff,
astounded
come on.
that people couldn't see it. And we're just like, what?
We just said to everyone, look, you don't want to trust us. Read the Q posts. They will tell you this is not some kid in some garage somewhere or a couple of guys, from MIT. No, this is genius at a level. This is commitment. This is a connection to God at a level that is stunning. And so we just couldn't believe, and then after a while, it just seemed surreal for us, Justin, how like almost incredibly, we were kind of like, the two of us were kind of like almost at the front of everyone outside of that team, because of just how our lives led us and pushed us in the things that we were studying and learning about. And it's like, oh my God. And then we have this advantage over the QAnons as well, because we already know the gematria, and we already know the numerology and the symbology and stuff, and so
we're all lined up. We know nothing can stop what is coming.
it was just incredible. So then we started to say that, and we took so much heat for having the audacity to say that Trump was a goodly and godly person, but he had to be, because the numbers don't lie, and the things that they were saying were perfect. And then all of the timestamps between Q and Trump, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. They are absolutely showing you, and done on purpose, that this is not coincidence. What does Q say all the time? How many coincidences before you realize there is no such thing as coincidence? And there isn't. There absolutely isn't. God would never be so lazy for coincidence. This is divine. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, yeah, and I would just say, just viewing it from an outsider's perspective and then getting involved with it too. I mean, it definitely sets you up to be ostracized from any particular group, because you tied all the pieces together. You had that the physiological truth community, which is a small group, but they didn't particularly like the focus on the external world and getting involved with that. And then you have the truth community that didn't particularly like the spiritual aspect and getting away from the sort of literalist interpretation of the Bible and things of that nature. And so it was just like one after the other. It was this sort of, you've got all the pieces together, but not many people wanted to hear all the pieces put together. They would rather just have their own little bits and pieces that made them, reinforce whatever their ideas were, but they didn't want to draw it all together. But that's what the truth is. It's holistic. It has to fit everything. It has to take everything, and it has to be simple too, because it seems kind of complicated, but it's actually quite simple. It's actually very, 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 it makes a lot of sense, but you got to be willing to look at it.
Yeah, and again, thank you, thank you for saying that, because when we began to do it, alienated everyone, and everyone was like, Charlie, please just stick to the Christ consciousness stuff, the chrism oil stuff, just stick to it. And it's like, Charlie, no, just and even our good friend Mark Devlin, Mark was just saying, this, I don't know, I would ditch the Trump stuff, and it's like, no, we can't.
And then we had
can't.
people say, ditch the flat Earth, like
yeah,
you can't be flat
wow,
Earth
and then
at all.
that's right. And then there were people that were going, and some pretty big names that were contacting, going, you were putting stuff together that is, I have to say, is really impressive. But you're just, trust me on this one. You're just so way off on the flat Earth stuff. It's a psyop. It's a psyop, and it's like, no, they told you it's a psyop. See, and again, the thing that helped us is that when we had the courage to say we knew nothing and that we had to start from zero, remember what I said? We started looking into these ancient cultures, right to the Mayans where we had moved to, and we started looking at all of them, and it's like they all knew that the Earth was still stationary at the center of all things, completely level, because it has to be. And then this is that Hermetic principle, which is how this all operates. It's through the Hermetic principle. And so once again, just this confluence of events that are clearly coming from God, and just opening doors for us and gently pushing us in these directions is the most amazing thing. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm never going to take any credit for any of this, because on our own, we just couldn't have done without so many people helping us, and of course without this absolutely coming through God, because all of this is
where we go one,
God.
we go all, and it's a journey of all of us put together, and
Yeah.
we're going to go through it together. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
And so my whole life, this kid from Canada, obsessed with John Kennedy and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy in the 60s, going, there's something not right. And it's an impossibility that those four people just, happen to be taken out, and it's all just random people. And then the 60s being destroyed the way it was, and Charlie Manson being portrayed as a dirty, grubby hippie, and then that's the narrative that everybody buys into and stuff. And what helped me a lot were those Clint Eastwood movies. I've talked about this a couple of times before, but it was those Clint Eastwood movies in the 70s. So here he'd become biggest box office star in the world through Dirty Harry, and he takes all of his fame and all of his money, and he just makes these slew of movies in the 70s that are all about family, all about making your own family, and that we're all flawed, and that we just have to when you know better, do better, and we have to help one another, and we have to do the right thing. All those movies just teaching the same message, that the shit storm is out there. It comes and it just tears your hedgerow down, and it destroys your home. And we're all Dorothy in Kansas, and now the vortex has flipped us upside down, and that's what it was. And Clint Eastwood was going, and so you just have to find your tribe. You just have to find your tribe, and you help one another, you trust one another, and you do the right thing no matter what. You do the right thing. So like I said, when we saw the Abraham Lincoln movie and the beginning of it, and the little boy is being whipped, and the Abraham Lincoln can't stand it, so he turns around, grabs a hatchet, and it's a vampire, and he runs 100 miles an hour with a hatchet. You just got to do. And that's kind of what Colleen and I have been doing as all of this happened and pushed this into this vortex of discovering all this stuff. We've just been fearlessly running because God told us to. And so there's just no way we can take any credit for any of this. We were called, and the best thing you can say about us is that we answered the call, and we did. And we're doing this while running an animal rescue sanctuary that was taking every because you kept adding more animals, and this thing kept growing out of
But
control.
I have to say, who brought home a kitten the other day?
I know. Yeah, 23, no, now 24, that's right, because the 23rd one just came, and that's Baba G, That's Bubba G, and
And I'm going to have all my videos out, I promise you.
yeah,
There's going to be some amazing videos of the animals, so nobody will have to guess if we actually have a sanctuary.
yeah. So
That's
I came across
crack me up
so
here.
20.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna add that it cracked me up hearing someone doubting about y'all having an actual animal sanctuary. I was like, you there's not a single show that you can watch where we aren't interrupted by dogs barking or a cat wandering across the screen or birds chirping in the background. Like, what you think that's all just a sound you got Colleen in the background just hitting on the soundboard like, yeah, do the dogs barking again.
That'll be part of our SCTV skits. Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Oh
good.
my.
You had to see us downstairs last night. It was a scene and a half. I was and Colleen was asleep on the sofa because she works
We were watching
so
something
hard,
on
and she was and I did this. I was further back than everybody else, and I just did this scan, and they just wall to wall dogs everywhere, just and all surrounding Colleen and stuff. And
and
there
three
she is.
puppies on my lap
She's
as I was
just
snoozing.
completely exhausted. There's those three new Chihuahua puppies that she's taken personal care of, just doing an incredible job, and it's just like, wow, how did we do all of this? I don't know, and I don't know how 2020 happened. I don't know how we did it, and it doesn't matter. I know that it came through God, and that's it. And it's a miracle. It's amazing.
And the
then
only
being
way we can have the energy to do what we do is because we are frugivores
Yeah, that it is.
and
It's just so true.
eating
Light,
primarily
light,
fruit.
light, light, so that you're light and you're filled with light, which is pure
Look
energy.
at Justin glowing right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Got it. Yeah. I mean, and you're penitent before God. So God, of course, is going to give you exactly what you need. And that's doing all the work. And this is what we get, when you live in service and when you honor your body and do what we're supposed to do. I mean, it just all makes so much sense. And I found a new YouTube channel that I've really enjoyed digging into, the Free Melon Society, which if y'all have never checked him out before, I'd highly recommend it. But he's 100% frugivore, and he's very I want to get in touch with him. But he's he just went over how it's just so painfully obvious. Like every single animal on this planet has one specific type of food that they stick with, and and then we as humans are just like, oh, well, we can just eat anything and it's fine. It's like, no, we have one specific type of food that we're designed to eat, and that's fruit. And
yeah,
some vegetables, some nuts and seeds occasionally, but really it's fruit. And it's just the longer it takes for us to, it doesn't matter how long, and who knows how long we've been eating meat in the first place. I mean, they've lied to us about everything. So who knows how long that's actually been around. But it doesn't matter how long we've been eating meat. It's still wrong. It doesn't matter if we've been doing the wrong thing for thousands of years. It's still wrong. It doesn't work with us. It's immoral from that perspective. But if you disregard the morality, it just doesn't fit with us. It doesn't work with us.
Doesn't work.
No, you
No.
can't expect life if you eat death. And it doesn't matter how much you want to fool yourself. Like, you're just going to suffer. No one else is well, others will suffer too if you with your choices, but it's
You
just
never
it's
have to
different.
go on a diet again because you're just eating the proper food for your body, and the weight will drop off and all of the illnesses will go away.
And
So it's like, oh my God, why didn't I know this before?
right? And you can eat as much as you want as long as it's fruit.
Yes.
You
exactly.
can you can eat all day long, and as long as it's fruit, nothing bad will happen to you. You'll just poop more.
Nobody will become a diabetic.
Right. Uh,
Yeah. The brilliant thing is you eat the seeds, and then many of the seeds make it all the way through undisturbed, and then when you poop it back out into nature, that you're planting trees, you're planting vines, which is incredibly divine. So the system is perfect when it's fruit. It's perfect, and you are a tree or a vine or a plant making machine. Your life, you're giving life, and that's because you're full of light. And that's how you live, is light. And when you're rooted in your uncle's heavy food, and again, this is the thing with those that are, digging their heels in, that the more solid foods, what that means is the more you're attached to the physical plane. And there's lots of man-made problems on the physical plane. So then you're attached to those problems. You're attached to problems, you're attached to stress, you're attached to worry, you're attached to doubt, because that's what's coming. That's what we've created for ourselves on this physical plane. And then the knowingness comes when you're light, and you have to be lighter than air, because the whole point of this, just believe me, just look at all of these RE words, like to be real and to realize. All of these RE words are life, and it's life through light. And that's why Satanists and Luciferianism is all about the wrong light, because they have to confuse the issue. So there's a right light and there's a wrong light. And that's the thing. So what Justin was saying earlier about all these different animals, let's go take a look at a bear, right? And look at how much we've been lied to about what bears are. And for part of the year, they are in their left brain, and they're carnivores, and they're carnal monsters, and they want one thing, which are these salmon, and they spend their entire existence. They have some berries along the way, and they want these salmon, and then they tell us that they go into this deep sleep, and they call it a hibernation. Or are bears meditating and connecting back to God to balance themselves from running around like crazed carnal monsters? And now they're putting their existence back into balance by going into these caves and meditating, hibernating. Or is a bear's hibernation really a bear's meditation? And are they paying back their karmic debt for the carnal monsters that they were running around? And it's all about balance. And so we've been lied to at a scale and a level. Like, I was having this conversation with Colleen 2 nights ago, and she's saying we shared so much, but the depth of this, probably even a lot of our family still doesn't fully get yet, about how deep the lie goes. And it's on everything. It's on everything, and it's everything. Anything and everything about us, they've thought it out. And then they've tricked us, lied to us about everything. Clothing, personal care, grooming, how we're supposed to view us, everything. They have, you allow them to print money out of thin air. They have been studying us. This is vivisection 101, because it has been a lab experiment for far too long. They're watching us. That's what they do. They watch us with great intent, and they're learning us. And that's the problem. They know us better than we know ourselves. And they know what it takes to influence us and force us into taking these wrong turns all the time, and going down that broad and spacious path that leads to you hanging by a root sticking out of a cliff face. It always does.
So right now we're sitting in an event that's happening where the awakening hasn't happened for the majority of people, but there's a larger group of us who do know what is about to be exposed and what's been going on under the veil, underneath the tunnels, under our very noses. There are vampires amongst us. The movie They Live, what a brilliant thing that you're putting that on your link, because it's so important, and it's crazy. And all of these movies that we're showing you, they're crazy, but it's actually been happening.
Yeah.
It's actually been happening. They've been putting due notice to us. that this is what they're doing, and we have consented by not trying to stop them. So their whole game is up because there is a goodly, godly group that was able to and has taken them down. And our job now is to continue with the vigilance to reprogram all of our minds so that we never let this happen again. This is so important, so important. So we can be all joyful and we can be all impatient about all of this not happening in this moment, but we got so much work to do, and we have to be diligent about it. We can never let this happen again. So we have so much changing to do inside of our minds, so much work to do to reprogram ourselves and to not let the left take control again. And by the left, I mean the ego. The left-hand side is out of balance. It's out of control. And that's what the cabal is. The cabal is the Canaanites. They're the left brain. And they've just operated out of the left brain. And now we need to balance. And the right brain is where we connect to God. So we have so much work to do, and we have so much that we want to share with all of you in videos and books and all these things. And there's so many other people out there that are also ready to download and just share all of this information too. So yeah, like Justin and Marie, and it's going to be amazing. Wow, we have so much work to do. But go ahead, Justin.
Well, yeah, just to echo that, I mean, truly, it's it's gonna be exciting when it starts to happen in a bigger way, and we're going to have some celebration, and there's gonna be ups and downs. There's gonna be a lot of ups with it. There's gonna be a lot of things to celebrate for, but we've also got to remember like what this is really preparing us for, which is to remain in that vigilance, and also to really help heal all of our brothers and sisters that are going to be going through the worst nightmare of their entire lives. They're going to be going through the most chaotic realization that they've ever come in contact with, and that's what we really need to brace for, because I see that as that's a big aspect of what we're being called to do, is to act as those healers within these moments, these trying moments, when all of this truth is revealed and all of that world crumbles and falls. All of that, everything that everyone's tied themselves to, it starts to be exposed as this just great big lie. And it's gonna piss a lot of people off. It's going to make a lot of people like very sad and depressed. It's gonna make people um, all ranges of emotions are gonna burst forth, and that's going to be huge. So really, really, really remember that. And as we're impatient, if you're getting impatient about it, you really should be gracious of the more time to get ready for when this does start to happen. Because the more that we can do now, the more that we can prepare ourselves by cleaning up our diet, by taking no thought, by doing the work, everything that we've described, the better prepared we are for that moment when this all does start to happen. Because yeah, we've got to take that massive wave of emotions that's going to burst forth, and really prepare ourselves for the inevitable that it's going to drive a lot of people to some form of insanity or another, and a lot of people are going to take their own lives. And I'm just going to say that very point blank bluntly. A lot of people that we know are going to take their own lives when this stuff starts to come out. So the more that we can prepare for that and be ready for it, the more that we can kind of abate that negative reaction. And that's what this movie is so diligently being played out for, to ensure that level of you know calamity is decreased as much as possible. Yeah, we have to calm it, but then taking that intense wave of emotion, and we really have to work on transmuting that into this vigilance that Colleen is talking about. So taking it and alchemizing this blast of energy that's going to come forth from seeing all of that world crumbling, and transmuting that into this vigilance of never allowing these people to ever do this kind of shit again, ever, 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 ever. So yeah, I'm not sure if that all made sense, but that's kind of the extent that we need to be preparing for this. So every moment that we get before this happens, because as soon as it starts to happen, there's no stopping it.
That's true.
So take advantage of every single moment that we have prior to this dam bursting, to really prepare yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it, for this to come out. Because it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive, massive, massive.
And this is
That's the armor of God, right? We have to put on the armor of God. We have to know what that means. Know what that means. And so we can discuss that another time too, but go ahead.
Yeah, we'll touch upon again tonight. It's just doing the work, right? When you're called, you answer, and then you're outfitted in the armor. So that's pretty straightforward and simple. And the thing that what we're talking about is that there's a group of people. There's a group of people, like Justin just said, that are going to be so filled with despair out of having been proved massively wrong in all of their beliefs, their ridiculous beliefs, and all of their addiction to television and addiction to authority and addiction to books and and everything just controlled through the mainstream.
Addicted to the Luciferian ways.
Luciferian agenda.
That's what we are.
And so they're so gone that they're prepared to just have so filled with despair that they would end it all, instead of going, oh, I was wrong, and now paradise is coming. Well, okay, I got that wrong.
That's the battle of the ego,
Let
right?
me get paradise
Right.
right. Who wouldn't do that? That's common sense. That's common sense to go, oh, well, I got the stupid part all wrong, and I did it really, really, really stupidly. So let's see if I can get this really good, loving, happy part, and let me see if I can do that 100% great. Just cast thy net to the right. And they won't do it. And that's how devious. That's what I'm talking about, this level of sickness that they have indoctrinated us. This is vivisection. I'm not kidding you. And it's rape. It's rape of the mind, which is far worse, as bad as rape of in the physical form would be. This is far, far worse. What they've done is vivisection. It's just the most appropriate term of what they've done to us. So this is why Nasara will absolutely come out quickly. Absolutely come out quickly. Before Trump, it'll be announced before Trump comes back as president, because it has to. It has to. This is for those people that are so far gone and so easily filled into despair that they would take their lives. This is what why they would do it and bring the Nasara right out of the way, is to help them go, oh wait, there's money in this? And then it's our job, all of our jobs, to show them that yes, and that abundance of wealth is there to help others. And we're going to show you.
Yeah.
We're going to
Service to
show
others.
you.
And we can do this.
Yeah.
We can begin again.
And then that's what we teach.
A brand new chapter.
You're no longer a human. You've graduated back to mankind.
How exciting that we get another opportunity to do it in this lifetime.
Yeah.
No matter what our age.
Yeah, and that's how you know the term human is not a good term, because the hue comes before the man. Man is God's creation. Man or woman is God's creation. Nothing can come between that. Nothing can come between that. So what's the word that they choose to use to put between God and his child? Hue. What's a hue? So it's another layer. It's another demarcation. It's another veneer. It's another separation. 30 degrees of these. Everywhere is just these 30 degrees of separation. And everywhere you look. And
we're just mankind.
And we're just mankind. And that's all you have to do. So, going back to what you're saying, how do you do the work? And how do you receive these? How do you get this all right? So what do we need to do? So Charlie, you've been talking. Okay, so just be a kind, Be a kind man. Be a kind man. You see how Justin was saying earlier, how it's
Learn
simple
what that
and it all
means.
has to be simple. That's the perfection of God's creation. All you have to do is just be kind. Start your day by going, what can I do to help others? And that's not just man, that's all of God's creation. And this is why we have to turn to God. There's no other way. If there was another way, I would tell you. If there was another way, I would share it with you. But there's no other way. There's no other way we're getting out of this unless we cast our nets to the right. There's no other way. There's no other way. We either have to get back to where we were, because to get him, you have to get her. And you can't get her unless you're together. That's the significance of that word and what it's sharing, the truth it's sharing with you in plain sight. To get him, you have to get her, and you can only get her if you are together.
And when
so
you get
come
him and
together
her,
now.
there's a balance, right? The perfect balance between masculine and feminine, the energies, the
4 and 7.
the magnetism and the electricity. I mean, it's just it's a beautiful. It's science. It's spiritual. It covers every gamut, and we're going to learn. See, they're totally into it.
Those fake animals again. Yeah, and it's simple too. The truth is always simple. Like if someone's telling you something and they've got this complicated way of putting it all together and it doesn't really fit, but they're like, "Oh, just trust me, it goes this way." If it's complicated, they're fucking lying to you. The truth is simple, and it's always going to be that way. That is how God is. That's how the truth is, and they're one and the same. And if it's not simple, then it's a lie. So just really when you can take that to heart, when you can truly understand that fully, people can't lie to you. They cannot lie to you. If if it's complicated, it's not true. The truth is always going to be simple, and that can't be stated enough. But it's very important to remember.
Beautiful, beautiful, Justin. And so for everyone listening in and everyone part of the family, that's what we want you to do. We got to fill up, 5 days, 12 hours, 60 hours of material content every single week. And so that's going to fall to all of us. And essentially, the ultimate form of kindness is that when you learn a truth, and when you learn more of the truth, and when you've practiced the truth, and then you've experienced the miracle of God working in your life, you share it. That's kindness. So Freak Sense TV will be Kindness TV. We're going to show the world. We're going to show the world through our SCTV network. We're going to show the world through our network, the Nexus. That's what a nexus is. It's this network of the instantaneous transmutation of truth into whatever you want, information or whatever. It's the truth. It's God's truth, and it transmutates instantly to those who connect into this perfect world. That's the nexus. That's what your brain is. This is, it's pure magic. It's lore, legend, and magic, and all you have to do to get it is cast thy net to the right, and that's...
Someone in the chat's asking all these truths, and they're never mentioned or never explained, but all of the videos that we've done, you look on our YouTube channel has been taken down, so you can't go there anymore.
But we brought most of them back now on Rumble, and Justin's been helping out a ton with that as well.
On Justin's channel, Marie's channel, Marie Russell's channel, which will have lots of...
And that's all we do. That's all Colleen and I do.
And Wisnosis. And,
we wanted to be, we wanted to be different from everybody else who was just like some people coming up with some really good stuff, and then it's like, okay, so what's the answer? I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. It's all fucked up. Yeah, but you were kind of hinting. I don't know. And so we're like, why are they all saying this? Why doesn't somebody just take a leap?
Because most people don't want to offend somebody else's beliefs or opinions, but we're stating that there are truths.
Yeah.
There are God's truths. There aren't everybody's truths. There are actual truths out there. That's right. And they come from a higher perspective. So we lay out everything we have for you
Every
on our
video,
videos.
every single video. It's always like,
Sometimes they're
how do you
4
live
hours
forever?
long.
That's right.
Ah!
Those are the short ones.
Well,
And
uh, I just wanted to bring this up again because I just love this. I love this comparison, or I don't know. I love this analogy of the fourfold nature of truth that you brought up. Like I think it's just fantastic. But the truth cross basically, and the southern portion is the sacred sex, and how we should not be spilling our seed. That is our Christed life. That is our essence, and so we should be retaining that and having sex the appropriate way, the right way. There's a right and a wrong way, but we've been lied to about that. And then the western portion is the Garden of Eden lifestyle, the breath that we take, the food that we consume. We're frugivores. We should be breathing properly, and that's all very important. And if you're not teaching that, you're teaching lies. And then the northern part, if you is the flat level earth. We live on a level stationary earth, and it's always been that way. And so anyone teaching anything otherwise is lying to you. And then the eastern portion is meditation and going within. It is absolutely essential. That is the only path to God. That's the only path to truth, is going within. You cannot do it without. And so looking at all four of those things is just a fantastic litmus test to compare to anyone who's speaking and claiming they're speaking the truth. Now, if someone's unsure about any of those things, that's one thing, and it's okay to not have certainty in all ways. But if someone's actively denying any of those, then they're lying. They're lying to you whether they know it or not, but they're lying. And that's what we have to get really clear on, is the truth is very simple. It's not complicated, but it is absolute. There's no my truth and your truth and their truth and everybody's truth. That is moral relativism, when you're taking a relativistic idea of what the truth is and applying it just to your convenience, which is a lie, which is what the Satanists are based off of. So we have to get really clear on where the lies are and whether or not the intention of the person who is spouting the lies is intending on lying. We still have to be calling it out. We still have to be saying, no, that is wrong. That is not the truth. Um, and that's the role that we have to play, and that's the sort of vigilance that we have to have moving forward, because any spreading of lies is only going to pave the way for these demons to come back in and do whatever they can, because essentially anytime we're taken away from the truth, it destroys us on a physical level. It destroys us. It takes us away from God. So the further we are from the truth, the further we are from God, which is the grand conspiracy of them all. Everything is designed to take us as far away from God, as far away from the truth as possible. So they lie at every single opportunity they can, and they just layer. Sometimes they just lie just for the hell of it, just for the ways to push us away. They don't even need to. Yeah, just spin everything upside down. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant, Justin. All of that, absolutely brilliant, and it is entirely true. And so Colleen received a message from Marie asking if she could have some of our healing magic, and so we phoned her up, and we had just an amazing conversation with Marie, because once again, dealing with the out there world, her and her kids have been put through the loop for having the audacity to be frugivores. And
As many of us on the chat and all of us have experienced this kind of a event happening in our life where we are segregated.
So exactly. So all the things that she was confronted with. Now remember, this is part of like an expat community. So these are not. This is not like a Mexican community per se. This is an expat community living in Mexico, and so the kids are all sort of speaking English, and And so Marie's kids are very much into all of this, and they're doing so well with it, and they're just these brilliant lights. And
Beautiful little warriors.
yeah, so some beautiful natural things are being said and done, and the responses are, and that's what
Well,
we're
just think
showing.
about all the meat eaters out there alone. Just when you present them with what they're doing, there has to be an attack, right? There has to be an attack, or they would have to look at themselves. So, go ahead.
Right. Well, just look at most meat eaters. They will not watch any of these documentaries about what happens in a slaughterhouse. If you did, you'd never, ever, ever go near meat. And if you knew the truth about the dairy industry, and I've tried to help by showing you what cheese is literally a drug, and it's so bad for you. It's incredible. And yet, cheese is the staple food. That's how satanic we are.
And it goes along so well with pizza.
That's right. And then this is this tying in, because they want you to be complicit with them eating your kids, and it's just getting to a point where that's totally okay as well. It's so sick, and it's so evil, and it's so ungodly, and it's just pure Satanism. And remember, Satanism is the absence of Christ consciousness, and demonic entities is the absence of God, because that's all there is. There's God with the mother and the child, the Christed one, and that's it. And they love it, and Santa Claus, and they love us, and they're there. It's all, everything is that hemisphere of your brain. That's why all of this is just an allegory for the left and right hemisphere of the brain. At the end of the day, I'm teaching about versus Canaanites, which is true in many respects, but ultimately Cain is just representing that bear that is a carnal monster for part of the year, and is then choosing not to become Abel. And Abel is everything. Abel is casting thy net to the right and receiving the fullness of God and God's creation, which is abundance and joy and happiness and peace and level. And that's all that these Canaanites have done. They've just rejected that aspect. They're not looking for balance in their life. They don't want balance in their life. They don't want to meet God in the afterlife. They don't want any of that. They know the game. They know the wheel. They know that there is a wheel. So, again, and this kind of hits home with Justin as well. I won't say any more about it, but so Justin knows. But I mean, this is the problem moving forward with religion, and just so many people in your families have got someone who's a pastor or a priest or an evangelist or something that is teaching,
or just a really devout Christian,
or just a really devout Christian, and they're all they know.
They have a good heart,
and exactly, but all they've been done is trained by Jesuits to become Satanists, and all they're doing is they're sounds like a terrible thing to say, but they're Satanists.
But we don't realize that we've been trained to be Satanists and Luciferians.
That's right.
And then we rail against those who come out with the truth of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And because we're so programmed in our minds, and it's just, we're upside down at the time. And so everything we're seeing is like, that makes no sense to me. How can you tell me something simple and true like that? That has to be a lie, and it has to be Satan, and it has to be, and it's like, wow, what a psyop that is, that we have been programmed by the Luciferians to be Luciferians, and the truth is now a psyop. Holy shit, they did a great job.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
no more.
It's the Agent Smith programming of just people turning into Agent Smith and coming out and protecting the Matrix. But yeah, it is brilliant. It worked very well. I gotta give them props. Kudos. They thought of a lot.
Justin knows this, and I want Justin to speak to this. But so let me just say, when your religion, which is every organized form of in the Western world, when your religion says that There's just no two ways around it. You are a worthless sinner, and you'll never be anything more. But hallelujah, hallelujah, one came before who's not a worthless sinner and died for your sins, so that you can just continue for this one time being a worthless sinner. And don't worry, you're going to heaven. You got one chance at this, and you're a worthless sinner. So anyone who's teaching that is so full of shit. And again, that may sound like just such a horrible thing to say for so many people who went into becoming a holy person in the intent of helping people, but there's no other way around it. It's the truth. If that's what you teach, you're so far gone. You're so far gone. The Bible is so clear. We are made in God's image. And God is divinity, which is perfection, which is the perfection of casting thy net to the right. And that's who we are. We're made in his image. And all we have to do is get this right, not wrong. That's why the Bible just teaches, and all these words are all about right and because it's to get right, you have to and is all about the light. It's to redo things, rethink things in a way that is lighter, simpler. That's revival. Every all these, go through all of these words.
Relearn the truth.
That's right. If it starts with re, it is a truth word, and it is showing you the way, which is to become lighter than air, filled with, because the air is the ether, which is God, and so we have a choice in life. And that's the thing. Like Colleen, I don't even know how this stuff all came to us. And then suddenly we just find ourselves teaching magnetism and electricity, left brain and right brain. It's like nobody's ever heard of this stuff before, and we're having to start at basic scratch, with everyone showing you that this is all about physiology, all about God's creation, and you have a choice. Left brain, right brain, left brain, right. Electricity, downward causation, temporal waves, and you die. That's it, temporary, and you die, and round, round, round the wheel you go. Or cast thy net to the right, magnetism, which is an eternal 8 scalar wave, and no beginning, no end. It just keeps going into perfection. And that's like a frugivore. That's where you have all this energy to do all this stuff.
And that's what all the ancients were teaching us in their beautiful...
Every culture. Magnetism, and then it's all photonic light. Photon, God is photon, because that's magnetism. And then that's what the stars are in the sky. But they're tiny, tiny, tiny little holes in the firmament. Why? Because if there were big holes in the firmament, it would blow holes in us because we're so filled with darkness. That's the problem. Satanism is darkness. We have fallen and fallen hard. And so when you eat heavy, you're full of darkness, and you're trapped to the earth, and you literally become heavy, or you can't jump. These people who are so heavy, they can't even get their feet off the ground. So think about that. Think about how ungodly it is to let yourself become so obese that you can't even get a fraction of an inch off the ground. Your heels can.
To get out of a chair is an effort.
That's right. But you can get your heels up and off, but you couldn't get your toes off with your heels. So they're never leaving hell. Never. And so what is this truth that they give us today, the satanic teachings in school? Let's all just love obese people. Well, of course we love everyone, but you love them by telling them the truth. No, Charlie, you're so divisive, and you're causing a rift. Can't you just let people have their truth and just, so exactly. So I'm just going to sit by when I know better and let this 700-pound person kill themselves, kill their siblings,
and tell them they never have to go on a diet.
Just
change the food you're putting inside of your body.
Well, I mean, ultimately they can do whatever they want, but I'm going to tell them what the truth is, and they're going to have to know it. They're not going to be able to live in ignorance. It's ignorance. You're ignoring the truth, and
you're ignoring the gold.
Right.
Again, look at all those words, Justin, with O-R, the gold. It's all about 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 silver, gold, and blue.
All about the gold.
Yeah.
All about the gold. And how do you get that gold?
By being a kind man. And it starts with the food that you eat. A kind man reaches high to heaven and picks a fruit off of a tree. and then you eat it and you poop it out and you make another tree.
And the apple was an allegory. It's not that apples are bad and they're going to make you a
No,
sinner.
that's
Well,
right.
it never said apple. It said it. That was just the interpretation. It didn't even say apple in the Bible. People just took that one. But yeah, it's and I loved how Remembrancer on the show the other day compared fruit to being the purest physical form of breath of God. It's like the breath of the trees growing into this perfect form, perfect for us to grab and to consume. And yeah, it's so perfect. They're so perfect.
And they're saying, take from me.
Yeah, yeah, completely given. Yeah. And trees are just the perfect example of penitence and service. Like truly are. They truly are the perfect examples. They freely give to all with no restrictions, no discrimination whatsoever. They give freely. Even if you went and started chopping on that tree or scratching on it or breaking out branches or whatever, it's still going to serve you. It's still going to be there for you. It doesn't care. And that's our clear indication that this is a loving, benevolent creation, and that God is loving and benevolent because he has these miracle workers that are just among us all the time, giving us life. And we just have to look at ourselves to see how far we've deviated from this perfect natural symbiosis that happens all around us, and just see how far we've strayed, and how to come back to it is to just be in that same mindset of service, to experience this plane as a fully conscious creative being, but walking on that path of service to all around. That's what we're aiming to do. But trees are just beautiful examples.
And that is such a great example, Justin. And for everyone listening, think how simple and truthful, and there's nothing you can do to fight this. This is the simple, pure truth. Look at a fruit tree and look at what a fruit tree goes through to produce fruit. It creates blossoms, and these blossoms are the most beautiful things. They're all different. Trees do this in all sort of different ways, but they're miraculous and they're beautiful, and it's all part of this process, which tells you that it's a beautiful process. So whatever the outcome of the process is, must be really, really beautiful and good for you, because the whole process is just so beautiful. And then once the like with the mango trees, once the fruit season is done, first thing that the mango tree does is it then takes care of itself. It begins to do maintenance on itself because it's preparing for next year, because it's all about giving us an even better show than the year before. That's how committed to their task, to giving, to being kind, trees are. The first thing, and so to be kind to others, you have to be kind to yourself. So they have to take care of themselves, and you look and see what they do in the weeks after, when the fruit is done. You would think that they might be in shock after this incredible process, but they're not. They go to work right away preparing for the next season. It's the most remarkable thing. Now, think about a hamburger. And that is the exact opposite. That is disgusting. That is violent. It's murder. It is smelly. It is so. The whole process takes so much effort, energy, and there's such a byproduct to it is incredible. So yeah, let's make our clothing out of leather because we've got so many of these dead animals. We've got to use it for something, right? So we have entire industries that are dead animals. You come home and you sit on a dead animal, and then you know this beautiful wool man goes into the kitchen and takes murdered animals and then serves murdered animals to their children, and then gets the kids to sit on murdered animals and then watch programming that is all about murdering animals, and then you wonder why we're all totally okay with murdering animals. And no kid is born in, there's no kid ever uttered the phrase, yeah, hey mom, dad, let's this Sunday let's go out and let's kill a lamb and let's eat it for dinner tonight. No child has ever said that. Not one. It doesn't work that way. So you see the simple truth to it. A fruit tree is so pure, so simple, so beautiful. And this process of having a hot dog or hamburger is the most disgusting thing. It is. It's just the most horrific, disgusting thing. And my dad, who was really a great guy, was a fisherman, and it was a very meditative process for him, and he really needed it in his life. And I just thought it was the coolest thing the first time, being asked to go out with Dad on these, really big, waters outside of Victoria. And then the first time we caught a fish together, then I was confronted with, oh shit, like, what are we supposed to do? And my dad's like, you hit it over the head and hard because you don't want it to suffer. And I'm like, Dad, if we hit it over the head hard, it is suffering. We just took its life. I know, but it's how we feed our family. And then Dad explained all the stuff about the Native Indians and why we have to do this in a very spiritual way and why it's so important and the sacrifice that they give and stuff.
There actually was on the Native American who said that the letters were saying they live off of their entire lives for generations.
Wait,
At that.
y'all are breaking up. Sorry, what did you say, Colleen?
What did how much did you hear about what I was just saying about fishing with my dad?
I heard that part, and then Colleen started talking. That's when it started breaking up. So I just missed what Colleen was saying.
Just to
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, we were just talking about there was a Native American on the chat here I was noticing, and they said in all capital letters that for generations that they had their First Nations people had eaten meat to keep them alive. And I was saying, yeah, we get that, but that doesn't mean that it's a right thing to do, and that's the. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, and most of those situations were artificially created by pushing the Native Americans to places where they couldn't grow anything. Push them to these desolate areas where there's nothing to eat but flesh. And of course, people are going to figure out ways to do it. And also, we have no idea how much influence was pushed onto these, because everything that they were doing prior to recorded history, or the recorded history that we're given exposure to, they had to wipe that as far and as wide as they possibly could. So we have no idea what level of infiltration these tribes had to steer them in these sorts of directions, what sort of, from every angle, anytime this sort of stuff started to pop up, anytime they saw it. I mean, that was the whole point of that was basically the whole point of coming here, was to wipe out any semblance of the peace and prosperity that these nations had. They had figured it out, and all of that has been scrubbed. All of that has been scrubbed.
It has. I've done a lot of research. Josh X has done some great research on this as well. Josh knows this as well. We've really researched this, and when the first settlers came over, both to Canada and then the famous Pilgrims arriving on the East Coast in America. The stuff that comes out now is just completely whitewashed, but when they came, this is how they were able to survive. The settlers were able to survive because the natives kindly and freely taught them to farm and taught them how to farm in this America, in these Americas. And that's what the natives were always known as, were master culturalists of the mother of the land. And they were masters at it. And now none of them do it. None of them do it. And everything that you get out of natives now, it's all about hunting the buffalo, and that ultimately at the end of the day it's probably the natives that destroyed the buffalo population and stuff, and what we've been taught is just a massive, 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 massive lie.
Yeah.
So again, the truth of American history is that when the first American settlers came over, they were freely, kindly being given life by being taught how to farm in the Americas, which there's a trick to it, very different from the America from Europe.
Yeah, Nicole Schneider in the chat just said, I'm a Native American. Actually, back when my grandma, who's 99 years old, said that everything they ate was off the land, fruits and veggies.
Wow.
So,
Sharing.
it's there, it's just we just have to remember that literally everything everything has they've tried to distort every single little bit of it. So you take the past 100, probably 200 years, and you can guarantee that vast, like, all of it has been manipulated to some degree or another, and it's just to keep us away from it. But that's what we're gonna dig out, is this truth about everything when we uncover the Vatican Library and all the records that they've kept, and everything of that degree. Like, it's something we'll be able to sort of piece it all together and see what we really have been missing.
Tools itself a teaching tool, the programming now, like watching the westerns when we were young, them slaughtering each other and slaughtering animals, and that's all they did. And that was not true. I mean, maybe for the ones that lived in the northern countries and stuff, and they were taught, like you said, Justin, to do that. But those images will be ingrained in our minds until we reprogram ourselves. So,
Yeah, well, here's simple truth about the natives. Their migrating patterns in the Americas were north-south, north-south, north-south.
when allowed to.
We've been taught east-west, east-west. This is what the history books tell you. They went east-west. No, they didn't. There's no point of going east-west in Canada. That's not going to save you.
But
They
I'm
went
sure
north-south.
there were groups that got caught a little bit too high when the winters came in.
Yeah,
That can happen.
so you learn from it, but they were all migrating north and south, and this is the importance of borders and different countries, is you stop this north-south migration. Like I said, Colleen and I have shared this with many of you so many times. Just look at a map, and it really helps with the flat Earth map. It really makes much more sense. It's easier to see. But look at where the vast majority of people live. And you would think, of course, logically, it would be within the golden zone, which is between the tropics, the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. That's where it would be, logically, because your growing season is infinite, never stops. There's never a day that you're out of a growing season, and then every year continues. So it's an eternal growing season. And the vast majority of the movers and shakers of the world, which we've been taught are white people, all live way, 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 way to the north. And you have to ask yourselves, why? How did that naturally happen? Like I said to myself, as somebody who does not like the cold, growing up in Canada, what am I doing here? How did this become? Why don't we live somewhere warmer? I don't get this at all. Why are we here when all we do is complain about the weather? I went to UBC, Vancouver University, and the rain clouds are during the winter season, they're there every day for 3 months, every day, and the clouds are about 8 feet off the ground, and there's it's like, why am I here? Why am I consenting to be here? Well, you can't go anywhere. You're a Canadian. You don't have to. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. Because of a bad choice your parents make, I'm a Canadian too. There's no options here. So it's craziness. It's pure evil and it's pure crazy.
Well, yeah. I did our kids a favor, and our generations came from Norway, so we're getting lower and lower, and now we're in Mexico. I'm like, yeah, we did it. We did it. And you can do it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the move, is we're all just going to move back to the middle path, to the equator, back to the center. Which is interesting because and maybe y'all know more about this, but what my understanding is that the warm part used to be centered around the center pole, right?
Yeah.
And that has shifted. So what happened with that?
Yeah, lies. So yeah, there's a North Pole cam, and you can go to it on YouTube, and you can watch the North Pole every single moment of every single day of the year. That's not the North Pole. That is not the North
So
Pole.
we have so many things to discover, and
Yeah.
it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing to discover all of that. And like Charlie said, if we can, we'd like to go and find out.
Not if we're going,
Yeah, we're
because that's
going.
how you test to make sure that this new these people are absolutely excited. You can't stop. You can stop me from. I want to see and I want to know the Antarctic ice wall. But first, I want to go to Agartha. I want to go to the center of the Earth. I want to see Mount Meru. I want to be there in the splendor of the northern lights, which is magnetism rising, eternally. And there's the magic, lore, legend, and magic, which is the Earth as well. So, and if someone denies you that, then there's no freedom.
Yeah, well, and you bring up a good point too, and that has to be part of our vigilance moving forward, is anyone who's in the public eye in any capacity has to be fully transparent with the full truth and not pushing anything away whatsoever. I mean, we have to demand that every single book in the Vatican Library be scanned to PDF copy and distributed more worldwide for everyone available to see. And we have to be allowed, there has to be no restrictions on traveling anywhere whatsoever. And if there's any whiff of restrictions away from the full truth, then we have to be vigilant in getting rid of that individual and in whatever way it's appropriate. But no one who's hiding anything can be allowed to be in that sort of way, and we have to all take that to heart, and we have to stand very strongly and stand very firmly within that, because even within the white hats and those who are working within those organizations, there are still people that are corruptible in that sort of sense. There are still people that can twist it and start to go that left-hand path and start to seek power and seek authority and seek that level of control. And it's up to us. It's up to all of us to say, no, nope, nope, nope. There is no authority. Authority is an illusion. There's no one that can keep any version of the truth away from anyone else. Full 100% transparency of everything.
Because
Full stop.
the swamp lives in there. So we have to be vigilant.
Yep.
And how do you know that the people that have claimed the Holy Land as a nation state right now, and who are living there and don't let other people in, how do you know that they're not worthy of the Holy Land? Because the first thing that anyone attached to the Holy Land would do is invite everybody in and to revel in the miracle that are those frequencies that are coming in this perfect recreation of the ascended man. And that's what you see, again, from the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea. You're seeing human physiology play itself out. And so you know that the subtle energies within us, the chakras within us, are completely under the ground there. And so, what would that feel like to camp out for so many nights, upon the Dead Sea in the sacral plexus chakra, which is the sexual center of our creation, and what that might propel us to do. And then what would that be like to move slightly north, just past the Dead Sea and into the solar plexus chakra of the earth? So you see, it's a miracle. all of this is a miracle, and it cannot be denied. No one can own this. When we say that no one can own it because you can't take it with you, that's just like pashwa. That's beginner stuff to just help you process. It goes far, far deeper than this, because you're only looking at things physically, and what we are is energy, as Nikola Tesla said, therefore frequencies. And everything about the mother is a beautiful, perfect frequency,
And they
therefore
call that
resonance.
the Schumann resonance.
The Schumann
right?
resonance.
And wow, there's going to be a lot of information coming out about that. But all of the frequencies and energies around us, they have an help me out.
Well, they do. They have patterns, and they
Yeah.
have a resonance to each and every one, because each and every one of them has a different role to play in God's creation, and it's all to serve. It's all to serve. And then here we are, the takers, at the very top, and all we do is take, and rape. Wait a minute. Shouldn't we be the prototypical givers? Wouldn't we be the highest form of giving? Wouldn't the highest calling in life be to tend? So plant forests. I was saying that to Colleen. What an incredible thing to do. I don't know what I want to do. Like, maybe do all those Japanese ladies. They want to be allowed to go freely everywhere on the earth. They want to help. They want to heal children. They just want to go. They just want to go. They don't know when they'll be back to Japan, but
Like
they just
Marie
want to
says,
go.
They
and
just
they
want to love on you.
Yeah, and they want to just heal children. So how many of you just want to start planting forests and just be a shepherder of the trees? I want to be tree bearer, and you just grow for. My God, don't you see this? This is us. This is us. And I always talk about hugging a tree. Have you ever done it? Have you ever been so awake and conscious in your own frequency to know what happens when you hug a tree? It is the most amazing thing. They are alive, and the resonance that is created within you when you do this, when you just embrace the incredible impressiveness of what a tree is. I was so fortunate. Mom and Dad took us to the redwood forest once, and I'll never forget that. Never ever forget that. And all I wanted to do was to touch those trees, and I kept saying to my mom and dad, I didn't want to forget this. I didn't want to forget this, because these trees were so big, and I was just nothing in compared to what these trees were, and I didn't want to ever forget this. Didn't know if I'd ever be back again, and I haven't.
But we will.
And so there's nothing greater than to just plant trees, be a forester, but not to cut down and turn into paper. That comes
Because we're
naturally.
going to grow hemp.
Yeah. No. So you just love these trees, and then they give you all of their love back, which is in a form called frequency, and then your frequency is enriched. And this is all about this 360 degrees. You see, it's like, well, Charlie, this sounds so daunting, because it's hard enough to get a degree in accounting or a degree in business or economics. It takes so many. I would be an old person by the time I got 360 degrees. No, it's not about school. 360 degrees is from caring and tending to 360 creations, and that's what you do. And every day you're taking care of the cats and
That's
the dogs.
why we want to live to
the
1,000 or more, because we've got so much to do to become the rejuvenated, regenerated, golden.
Exactly. Helping, and then you're learning the wisdom of the horse, and you're learning the wisdom of the goats, and you're learning the wisdom of the rabbits, and you're learning the wisdom of the fig tree. Justin was talking about the beauty and the selflessness of trees. Well, that's the fig tree. Laying down her long hair and giving her very essence, life away freely, humbly, in penitence to God and to us. Why are we? Don't you get it? Why are we the odd ones out? Everybody else is just humbly, selflessly, silently giving of themselves for us, and all we do is rape them, never saying thank you, and cutting them all down. Wouldn't we if you know that this is what they teach, we're the most powerful, opposable thumbs, and so we're the most advanced and stuff, so it's our right to dominate. Well, then wouldn't we be the kindest ones? Wouldn't we be the most selfless ones? Where's that? Oh, well, that was John Kennedy. Bang. Oh, well, that was Martin Luther King. Bang. Oh, that was Mahatma Gandhi. Bang. Did you get it? Did you get it? John Lennon wrote songs about planting gardens and getting back to the land and embracing the mother. Bang.
But we have an opportunity to bring it all back.
That's what we're doing. Yep. Yeah, every time it popped up, it's like whack-a-mole. They were just hitting it back down. But that's what, that's kind of what this whole era was about. It was for us to experience what this level of depravity was like, for us to experience the full weight of separation and to experience everything that happens from it, and we chose that. We ultimately chose to fall. We chose to experience what that was like, and now it's time to rise. It's time to get out of that. It's time to stop playing that game. I'm done with it. I got what I needed to. Good with it. Good with the lessons there. Let's move on and let's grow. Let's get past it and create that new earth. That's what we need. You're muted, Charlie.
Justin is reading The Fellowship of the Ring right now, and as I understand it, Justin just went into Lothlorien. So it's like, haven't you ever wondered what it would be like to live in the trees? I mean, Galadriel is pretty amazing, and the elves are pretty amazing, and they lived in the trees. Maybe that's something that we should consider doing in these massive trees instead of cutting them down and telling us that they're mesas and buttes and that these were trees climbing to heaven, and that every year you gravitate higher in the tree and you build another flat, another level higher in the tree, and you just get higher and higher and higher. Is that how you get to God and how you ascend to heaven? We have to get high. We absolutely have to get higher and higher, and the trees allow us to get high, and they support our every step of the way. And so I think Tolkien was teaching us something very, very, very powerfully about these trees. Makes a lot of sense. You're very safe and secure in that mother tree.
Every kid loves to have a tree house. Haven't you always wanted to have a tree house? I did. I always wanted to.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason? Is that where we're supposed to live?
We always wanted perspective from another vantage point, especially when you're young and living an incredibly twisted world. We all wanted perspective.
Oh, and they just showed it to us in Avatar as well in the movie.
Yes.
Wow.
Incredible. And I would like to find giant pine trees and live in giant pine trees. I mean, wow. Yeah. And if any orcs come, then I'll just meditate the cones on fire, and that's it. And it will work as one with the trees, and we'll defeat them. So it's so simple and it's so beautiful, and we have to reevaluate everything. We're taught to build homes and to build them safely. We have to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper down into the earth, and so we're rooted. The first things the natives did, they made their homes portable. And I think that there were a lot of peoples that lived in the trees, and I think that has been taken away from us. And I think that's one of the reasons why they felt the necessity to create forest fires. Forest fires happen naturally. There's no two ways about it, but it's a life-giving process. It's not a horrific process like they've taught us to be. But largely, this slew and this just forest fire season. This is all CIA. It's all Mossad. It all is. It's just the Jesuits. It totally is. It's the same thing with, hitchhiking is dangerous because there are sick people on the road. No, there weren't. And then suddenly the Jesuits are going, yeah, they're all being friends and hitchhiking. We can't allow this. So let's put these people out there and start killing people who are hitchhiking. We'll stop hitchhiking in a hurry. And that's what they've done. Hippie movement. We can't have that. No, Charlie Manson, let's kill the hippie movement quickly. That's what they do. So living in trees, I'm sure that's probably what we're supposed to do in many cases, and it makes so much sense. So wow, everything is just endless possibilities. And like Colleen said, this is where you have to become a frugivore because you have to get back to a minimum of 1,000 years. There's just not near enough time. If we're living to 60 or 70 or 80, or you get to 100, you're a lucky one if you get to 100. No, we need a minimum of 1,000 years to even begin to get close to 360 degrees and go see the center Earth and go see the Antarctic ice wall. And to do all of these things, we need 1,000 years.
Yeah, I mean that's all we're supposed to do is to figure this out. This is the handbook. This is the way that Jesus taught. You know, this is the path to follow. We figure this out and you win the game and then you just go play. You go play. You stay in service, but you play. And this is walking that middle path of creating that heaven on earth. We get to experience the fullness of this creation, the wholeness of it. We get to activate as the creative essence that we are born with and to operate and walk on this physical earth, knowing that we are children of God, knowing that we've completed this journey. And it's never a full completion. There's always work to be done. But when you're penitent and when you're walking this path, then everything else just falls into place. And you're able to do all of these things by continually being in service. And it's just, and the rewards are built into it. So the more that you serve, the more that you're given. And it just plays out that way. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's such a perfect system because when you look at it from a larger perspective, like, wow, God is so brilliant to create such a well-run system that rewards itself for growing and expanding and just getting better and better and better, serving itself, serving each other. Yeah, it's perfect. And all we have to do is just listen. Listen to this simple truth and do it. And we're there. So come on, let's do it.
Do it.
Yeah, it's so good.
That is yet to come. Because clearly that just said is to get rid of carnal night, this carnal, to unattach ourselves to these deep-rooted ways of doing things, to become mobile again. Another great Pete Townsend and the Who song, "Going Mobile." It's what it's all about. Is to keep moving, and because then this is how you get the 360 degrees. If you keep interacting with different plants and trees and cultures, then you're learning the best of that everyone has to offer. And then what would the world look like? What would that world look like with all of these wise, truly wise people who are there? So it just makes so much sense. And as Justin said, the more that you help others, the more that help comes your way. The more that you love others, the more love comes your way. It's the brilliant, perfect creation of God. And so the rewards are built into the work that you do. And so best is yet to come is, when you get rid of all of these draconian systems and replace them with just abundance. Wow, well, what's going to start to happen? And so all of these people that want to commit suicide instead of living in trees and becoming a shepherder of trees, boy, you're missing out. I mean, didn't you ever read The Lord of the Rings? Wouldn't you like to live like, Celeborn and Galadriel and to live among, you can now. You absolutely can. It's a miracle.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, for the first time, we'll get to have that choice fully. And, people will still get to choose to live in that fear, and that fear will ultimately be a very, very short-lived and fearful place. But the rest of us, all of us will get to have that choice of living in this abundance, living on this, yeah, going and living in the magic and in the trees and among the fruit and speaking of trees, like we got to get started on growing these trees. So any chance you get, plant some trees, plant some fruit trees all over the place. So like, we got to get going. on that. But we've got 1,000 years to enjoy them, so don't worry about that too.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. It may the correct may rule within you. So yes, we want to do this. We want to do this physically on the mother, and yes, we want a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Yes, we want to lie down. Yes, we want to embrace the Mount of Olives, and we want those resonances to ring truly within us. But the journey to the center of the earth is within you. That's why there's a North Pole. That's why you have a Santa Claus. That's why there's a chimney. That's why he gives presents. It's all inside of you. It's all right here in this third eye, which creates a trinity, which creates a mountain peak, which is this rising within you. And that's where you have to go to. And meditation is that way. So that's why when Justin talks about that the fourfold cross of truth that I created, is that in the south, you're starting with your primal life force and essence, which are your Christ conscious fluids that are within you. So the 4 rivers of the Garden of Eden are within you, and in each and every one of them are life, and each and every one of them are precious. So it's the same thing. Like your urine is an entire food source if that's what you want. This process, and of course, if you are in a peak frequency, then what do you think your urine would smell like, taste like? Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because
Have you ever
you are where
wondered
you is.
why your urine is something you'd want to put on you when you get stung by a jellyfish or a serpent? Or what is in the properties of urine that actually takes away the sting, has healing properties in it? And there's books out there that I'm sure in the future there'll be many more, but there's books out there that are absolutely research that brilliant minds have done on urine therapy. So that might seem really disgusting in the beginning, but just do a little research on it yourself. And like I said, in the future there'll be a lot more information out there. That there is even YouTube. There's you might get your quacks out there that have maybe psyoped it, but yeah, there's some really great info out there. So take a look at that. Ask the questions.
Yeah, the truth is simple, and that's a simple thing.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, you get a cut. Another thing that you can do is saliva. Your saliva is Jesus Christ. So if you get a cut, put Jesus Christ on your cut. That's your saliva. He is your salvation. What do you think saliva is? It's the live sal, which is the Savior within you. And that's what your semen is, and you want to ejaculate it out. That's insane. And of course that process that rings the bell is a 1,000-fold process. So this is the last thing. It is the absolute last thing that you want to be squandering. And Santos Bonacci teaches this so well. Like Santos says, when these young men are taught this process that something should come out, and they're supposed to feel really good about something coming out, is when they start dying. So when you start losing those 1,000 years, and then they're poisoning you, and then it's 800, and it's 622, and it's 440, and then it's 200, and then it's 114, and then it's 88, and then it's 72, and then it's 65, and then you just have people, you have children being born now with cancer. I mean, wow, it's just wow, and you're gifted 1,000 years, guaranteed. You're gifted a minimum of 1,000 years of life. You have to. It's a Hermetic principle, minimum 1,000 years, and that's all you do. And if we didn't stunt children, they would be the size of telephone poles. But that's all we do. From the moment they're born, we stunt them to stop this process. Well, they only grow that big from 0 to 2, and then it stops at 2 because after 2 years of denying this growth with toxins, it just stops. It gets the message. So we destroy the magic. and we just become facts, figures, and logic, and that's
So
the
we'll
left
become
brain.
the small people because we're living a couple thousand years, and the children that are coming up now, that they'll be the giants.
Yeah.
So we'll be the tiny people. So we'll be pictogramming on the cave walls, and
Yeah, and they need big trees. So then big trees, really big trees, will start to root again because they need them. They have to. So it's just that's how everything works. This is the Hermetic principle. It's how everything works. So build it, and he will come. And again, gold, ore, all of the saliva, and all of these, the four rivers of Eden, which are life. It's all built in and around that 121, 11 times 11, 11, 11.
I just was looking at the chat here, and people are talking about mangoes and living up north. When there's free energy, we'll be able to have greenhouses so huge that you'll be able to grow mango trees, and you'll be able to have a contained environment where these beautiful things can grow if you are so inclined to live further north.
Yeah, domes. You'll just build your growth domes, because you'll see that everything works most efficiently in domes because we live in a dome. Our head is a dome. Everything is about domes because it's all about dominion. You have to have dominion over you.
Except for those Dominion machines that were fraudulently creating votes that weren't so good.
But that's why they call them dominion, because they're hijacking your dominion.
We're taking it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'll still probably want to move to warmer climates because when you become a frugivore, you don't have any body fat and you get cold all the time. So just 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 a bit of a warning there for anyone going on this diet when you do drop all of that weight. And this is weight, and when you think about this, when we hold all of this weight, which is just where our toxins and all of this just junk, this like phlegm and mucus and fat and all this just crap that we hold all the time. And fruits are just beautifully detoxing, and they help us just get rid of all of that. And so you do have less layers of warmth with you, which is important to remember. But your body, it's just you're in such a more vibrant state of life. You're able to just flow and be so much more clear and so there's really no other, like for me the clarity gained is the biggest aspect to it, just having that sharpness where I feel like I'm there, like I'm so much more there than I've ever have been. um but yes, we will absolutely you'll still feel inclined to move south to warmer climates, but we will have the option to grow greenhouses for sure, or to have them.
Yeah, and clearly you'll have a choice about going north or south, going inwards or going further outwards, going to the center of the earth or going to the extreme edge. It'll all be your choice, or at least again it should be. So again, there is a picture. Again, that's all they can do at this point, and it was is just a picture. I think Ezra showed it, and it showed a group of military, and they were in T-shirts. And what did they say? This is north, and this was this winter. So that's this winter, and everybody knows how cold this winter and how long this winter was. And they were saying that this was north of a certain place, which is unbelievably north and unbelievably cold, based on what we're told and what we're taught. And they're in T-shirts. They're in T-shirts. So what? Texas is suffering from freezing temperatures, but there's a place north of inside the Arctic Circle, and people are there with T-shirts. Something's going on. Yeah, something's going on.
We're going soon. I'm excited. It'll be a fun voyage. The Freak Sense Caravan. Here we go.
Yeah, and what a great name too, right? Caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Everywhere we go, okay, there come those freak people. Oh, they're gonna help us again.
So the
Let's
fact
hide.
that we'll be able to travel anywhere in the world in an hour is a very good thing, because if we do go on this trip, we're gonna need orange juice. Make it a quick trip. We'll take enough orange juice in a cooler.
Yeah, well, maybe we can have, in our maglev uh, vessels, we'll have just an orange tree growing, as part of it. It can just ride along with us. Little mobile orange tree greenhouse kind of thing. We got it all.
Yeah, and just think again, look at the word orange, gold angel. Right there in plain sight. What's the color of an orange? What's the color of orange juice? Come on. Come on. There are no coincidences. Wake up and smell the roses, okay?
We love all you in the chats. Thank you for sharing all of this tonight with us. Wow, it's
Yeah. Yeah, we knew it was going to be a special show, and it has been. It always is with Justin anyways. Yeah, and
and
so
the fact that the Oscars were on, and I saw Sinead say something about nothing special. So yeah, because they aren't really there.
yeah, yeah. If Tom Hanks won an award tonight, just me. Just me. It wasn't Tom Hanks. No,
Yeah.
no, Charlie, no, it was.
Yeah, this was a great show. I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun tonight, and always fun hanging out and just chatting about all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's just that warm fuzzies.
You can Ichabod can't see me living in a tree. Ichabod, I could totally live in a tree.
Yeah, absolutely. Trees are amazing. Wow, 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 wow. So this is Sunday night. So tomorrow is the moon day. We had a Sunday today, and boy, do we ever have sun today in Mexico. Wow, it was hot. And tomorrow's the moon day, then that means that our music decode. And when I finish here, I'll do everything with the dog. None of these lyrics on YouTube. Yike. All of this before I.
Yeah, because tomorrow who do we have tomorrow?
Well, I just had no. I apologize to both you and Siobhan, and to everyone. I did not have enough time to do Prince Week. So we're going to do a tribute to Dan Fogelberg, and this will be part one of two with Dan Fogelberg, because he has so many incredible songs, and they're so rich and complex and dense. This is a more. These are more understandable songs. So a lot of them are from the Phoenix album, because those are complex enough. But once you get to the Innocent Age album, it's truth at a level that few can get to. So
Wow,
yeah, he's a genius. He's brilliant. His music
beautiful soul,
is
Dan
is
Fogelberg.
incredible,
Wow.
and he was just a teacher, and a very
a
humble man, a
feeler.
feeler. And it's our hope that maybe he's not dead as well, because his cancer sure sounded a lot like George Harrison, and it stunk to high hell. We hope that Dan actually is still alive, and that would be wonderful. And if you're one of those people that obviously have heard of Dan's many hits on the radio, my goodness, if you haven't fully explored his music, he didn't write a bad song. They're all so good. His discography is a gift that just keeps giving and giving and giving. It is just an enormous gift. And those two albums in particular, Phoenix and The Innocent Age, are two of the greatest albums ever created. That is master teaching and master songwriting at a level few ever even got close to. So that's how good. I know that seems to surprise some people when they hear about that with Dan Fogelberg, but no, I mean you're talking genius that only a small group ever approached. So
Yeah, so that's gonna be
so it's going to be a real.
yeah, excited about that. And just before Song Decode, if we got Miraculous Monday as always, so make sure to tune in for that as well. So that'll be great. And then Wednesday,
Great one tomorrow.
yeah, they're always just fantastic. They're always so good. Um,
Don't miss Marie's Miraculous Monday tomorrow. That boy, she was just on fire today, and Colleen was on fire today. Wow! So that'll be an amazing show with Marie tomorrow. Yep, she's wow, big show with Marie tomorrow.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited for that. And then Wednesday we've got our Bible Decode, and we're gonna be starting with Revelation chapter 8. So that's gonna be another fantastic one. And then yeah, I think did we just have Q&A on Friday? Or no, so
No,
okay, so we've got Q&A. Yeah, so we've got Q&A coming up on Friday. So that'll be exciting. I think I've gotten contact with everyone for that, so it should be a good lineup. And yeah, if you again, if you want to be on those shows, there's a link to join to sign up for that in the link tree, along with a whole bunch of other goodies. And yeah, and then it starts all over again.
hey, and I see in the chat, I just noticed Rick Walker. Hi, Rick. Love you and Tasha so much. So please get in contact with Call and I again. Okay. And yeah, looking forward to catching up with you guys. Love you so much. And yeah, thank you for all that, Justin. Busy, and the shows that we do, we get far into all of this, all of our amazing
You're
are
breaking
so
up a little bit.
much fun.
You're breaking up a little bit, Charlie. Can you repeat what you just said?
I was just Yeah, I was just saying the shows that we do where everyone is like a large participant, like the Q&A shows where we get to meet our in a deeper way. Those are great. And boy, we've been having some really great shows. So I love that.
Me too. Yeah, it's giving more, yeah, just more exposure and more people the chance to come on and just speak. And that's what we've all got to do. We've all got to be crossing the throat and using that throat chakra in whatever way. It doesn't have to be coming on the shows with us, but just find ways in your life to be exercising your throat chakra and to really be using that, because that is the only way and the quickest path to really transition and cross the crucifixion. You've got to clear the throat, and that's so important to do. So come on and join us. Join us on Miraculous Monday. You can join the groups with Marie and hop on that. You can join my Telegram group and join us on those calls, or you can join us on Charlie and I's Q&A. Or find another way to kind of get your voice out there. But I just highly encourage it, because that's truly where we start to activate, is when we use our throat chakra and start speaking the truth as we know it, as we see it, and sharing authentically.
Yeah, and we've already met so many great members of the family. We want to see you again, and then there's so many we haven't met yet. But like just on the shows we've been doing, and Kazri and Christy and like wow, and like the show we did with the Charlie Freak song, and everybody was like, this is just
That was amazing.
magic.
Truly.
Magic.
We
It's
love
just
you guys
magic.
so much. You have
Age-old
no
family
idea. We're
coming
so
back
proud
together.
of the things that come out of you, and we're
Yeah.
just so proud. We're just so excited to share the journey with you, because you're so beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it is. It's just a total joy for us.
Yeah. truly is. It's a dream come true. All right, guys. Well, this was fantastic. I love all of y'all. I love all y'all in the chat. I love you both so much. Wow. Just full of it. The wholeness. All right, guys. Y'all have
Have
a
a
good night's
great night.
sleep. Y'all too.
Stay if you're not. We love you.
See
Bye.
you tomorrow.